Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello, gamers.
James Farley.
Hello.
And Sean Bell.
Hello?
What? James, explain your response there.
I was just confused by Matt. I mean, what was that? That was the new one, Matt. Have you been preparing that?
Why are you so easily shaken? Why do you let that... Why don't you just roll with the punches is what I'm asking.
Well, no, because we've got a format. You know, it's the same every week and it's comforting. And then something like that comes up and it's a bit...
One Matt. We got one Matt and he threw you off the game.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
We'd like to start the show, as we always start the show, by thanking our Patreon producers for this month. They're the Full Nels crew, and they are Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks chap, Simon Nelson, Jack Oven, Tom S., Moomin Biscuit, Trans Rights are Human Rights, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabsy Wabsy.
Whoa.
Sorry, I get into a flow with it and I forget some of them change. Graham Mackay, Rocketman76, Rex Reese, Happy Birthday Sam, Love Neil, aka Bitch in Sync, Grey Dragon Claw, Fred Fenge, and Garrison Savannah. They are the Full Nels crew. If you would like to support us, what we do, and get something back for it, you can go to patreon.com/TCGS. Various different tiers. You can listen to a bonus show, which was quite good this month. We've had quite a bit of feedback with that. We had a Talksover, which was surprisingly good this month. Surprisingly is a bit harsh, but we watched Gamesville, and I was kind of like, I guess I didn't know where we were going to go with it, but it turned out it was a bloody good show. It was like an hour-long stream. Had lots of people in the chat. That was great. You can watch that live with us on a certain tier, or you can go full Nels, whichever way you decide. We really appreciate everyone that supports us at patreon.com/TCGS. Matt, our first show, proper normal show for a long time last week. I assume everyone loved it, right?
I think everyone loved it. I think officially everyone loved it, yeah. We'll start with Nathaniel in Melbourne. Then. Hello, TCGS. I've only been a listener for about 6 months, but I love the podcast. However, I often listen to it in the background and rarely give it my full attention, which means I still... sounds like a big fan. Which means I still don't have a good...
Nathaniel?
Oi!
Nathaniel, stop ignoring us, mate. This is quality content that you're missing out on here, so listen up. Just stop what you're doing and turn the volume up and focus, yeah? We've got to focus to put this out. You should be focusing to listen, all right? Good. Continue, man.
The only person you're cheating is yourself, all right? Yeah. I often listen to it in the background, rarely give my full attention. I can't even put names to voices. As far as I can tell, these are the personalities of the TCGS crew. One of you is quite stoic and calm. I feel like he will be slow to anger, but would then be quite dangerous. One of you is a bit thick, but seems to have a heart of gold. We'll come back to these in a minute. One of you is very aggressive, like the Miss Piggy of the group. The thick one is his Kermit. The last one just sort of fades into the background. I'm sure he's lovely, though. To be honest, I'm not even sure what your names are, so I often skip past the intro. If you twisted my arm, I'd say Peter, James, Kevin and Corey. Hope I'm not forgetting a fifth member. Reading this back, it does seem quite mean, but I really do love the show. To make it up, I'll subscribe to your Patreon. Thanks. And that is from Nathaniel in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's fine. Absolutely fine. I don't mind being Corey. That's fine. I can be Corey.
So hang on. I'm facing the background guy, right?
No, you're the quite stoic and calm person who goes crazy.
Okay. Oh, right,
yeah, James Farley's the one that fades into the background.
No, I was going to say it's me.
Yeah, you are James Farley. Anyway, me, Matt Murray, I'm the aggressive one, clearly. Matt, David Turner's Sean. You don't see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to confuse you further.
Sorry, it's just confused me.
Thanks
unfortunately,
I confused the wrong people.
Yeah, I'm like, hang on, am I David Turner's? Fucking hell.
Yeah, you were, Sean. Yeah, you were.
Just for a moment, how did it feel, Sean?
Taste of the high life. It was great. Loved it.
Wait, hold on. So who's the bit thick one with a heart of gold?
I mean, I take issue with the first bit, but I assumed that was Matt.
Ah, yeah, I like the way that you covered yourself.
But also fade into the background. So
when he then went on to say that again, I don't agree with this bit, but when it says the thick one is his Kermit, I can see Matt being your Kermit, Dave.
What? Matt's the thick one.
Unbelievable.
Again, I'm not agreeing with that bit of it.
Okay, all right.
I don't think we should dwell on this, honestly.
So, I mean,
Too late, James. It's been
Sean
dwelled.
clearly thinks that Matt is thick. Okay.
Well, I mean, all right, okay. James is a literal doctor, and Dave, you don't have a heart of gold. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm pretty thick.
No, that's true.
Well, would you describe David as having a heart of gold? Because I probably wouldn't.
No, that's my point.
I think
What are you talking about? I've got a heart of gold. I love giraffes and that, don't I? Remember that? Remember when I loved giraffes?
That's the only thing that softens you, though.
Admittedly, I like them because they fucking hate everything.
That's true.
Quite clearly.
One of you is very aggressive. I mean, there's a fair chance that's David, surely, out of us.
Yeah, no,
three.
I assumed that was,
Yeah, I think that's probably me, isn't it?
Stoic and calm. I mean, I was thinking Sean.
But that's Sean, innit?
I thought Sean.
I thought that could be James. I don't know.
No, because James, on this show, James goes crazy. You just like prod him a little bit and he's like, oh, fucking hell.
That's true.
But like,
I mean, bear in mind, Nathaniel doesn't even know our names. It's entirely possible he's just sort of crossed us over at various points. Do you know what I mean? Like each one of these personalities he's describing could actually encompass several of us.
Or is he talking about Kane and Rince?
I just assume there's another podcast somewhere with a Peter, James, Kevin, and Corey on it. And they've just misheard it.
I want to listen to it. Sounds great. With these personalities, that sounds like a winning pod. So, do I want to be a bit thick or do I want to fade into the background? What a choice. Probably a little bit of both.
I don't mind being thick. No one expects anything from you then. And you could just go along with your daily life, can't you?
You can surprise them, can't you, as well?
It's nice. Go on.
Have we worked out who's who? We'll move on,
yes,
shall
we
we?
have.
I don't feel like we have.
That's why I say go on.
So hang on a minute. So even though everyone's like, oh, you're saying Matt's thick, you're now just quietly all agreeing with me. Is that?
Yep.
Okay.
That's how it works, Sean. You point out the flaws, you agree with them, but you don't expose yourself.
Okay.
That's the art.
I mean, I'm all right. I'm just fading into the background here. So it's fine.
Right. Athene. Hi, lads. You will have undoubtedly heard of the unfortunate passing of Meatloaf this week. On the bright side, being reminded of his classic Bat Out of Hell has fired some neurons in my brains for a quality pun title for a Sean stream that is very clear in Carl Pilkington fashion. Sean gets a name first, then runs with it for the stream, presenting Sean Out of Bell, a regular series where Sean plays underworld-based games. For example, Dante's Inferno, Hades, etc. I expect my commission check in the post soon. Your longest suffering fan, Athene.
Sorry, how have you not gone Matt Out of Bell? There's got to be something in that.
I mean,
where it's like a co-op stream, but you've got to, I don't know, maybe...
Or Matt Out of Hell. I mean, that would make more sense, presumably.
That would also, because Matt Out of Hell implies that I'm like giving birth to him or something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That would be quite a stream.
We've got to up the content. Have you seen what these YouTubers and TikTokers are doing now?
Get their attention.
Yeah, it's not just your bog standard reviews, is it? There's got to be some gross element. Even Blippy was shitting on his mates, mate. Even Blippy was doing that. So
I should say, Athene, so I actually at one point considered doing the opposite of this. I was going to do Bell's Angels. And it was going to be a stream of loads of games where you play as an angel.
How many games can you think of where you play as an angel apart from... You're not going to play...
Well, there's El Shaddai.
El Shaddai.
I mean, technically, he only becomes an angel at the very end of the game. You could do. I mean, does Kid Icarus count? Maybe, not really. Icarus isn't.
You could do
different.
You could do Bayonetta. I mean, there's angels in it. I mean, that's
true. They're baddies, though. You can do Messiah, where he plays the little baby angel who possesses people and gets them to shoot each other. And you could also do Requiem: Avenging Angel, which was a shit first-person shooter that made a big deal about the fact that like you had magic powers that were all based off things in the Bible. So there you go.
Okay. All right. We'll consider it. I think.
Yeah, we'll put it on the list. Rect Reese, dear TCG, what a great show. Just caught up with In the Cuisining, and apart from that, it was great. And apart from...
So I meant to rephrase this because it's not clear the way Reese is... Sorry, Reese, I'm not having a go. Thank you for the message. But your phrasing is unclear. Because it sounds like he said, just caught up in the cuisining, and apart from that, it was great. What he's saying is, apart from that it was great, I just wanted to say...
Yes,
which took me a minute.
Okay, so apart from the fact it was great, I just want to say
okay, I see where you're at.
I just want to stand with James on the metric/imperial measurement thing. Lived in the UK almost all my life and still have to use a converter anytime somebody asks me for anything in feet and inches or pounds and ounces, unless I get asked that question, in which case I'll just lie anyway. Working in both the medical and military worlds, I've always had to record people's height in centimetres for official forms, including government IDs. It is also a lot easier to work out medication in relation to a person's body weight when their weight is easily divisible by 100 or 1,000. The fact anyone tries to remember how many pounds go into a stone or how many ounces go into a pound baffles me. 1 milliliter of water weighs 1 gram, 1,000 makes it a kilogram, easy maths. Also, anyone who's bought a bag of sugar or been to a gym in the UK has a good reference for what 1 kilogram or 10 kilogram feels like. Whereas if someone tells me they lost 2 stone, I have no reference for how much weight that is. I don't know whether to be congratulatory or concerned. Meters, litres and grams all the way. Appreciate y'all. From Rex Reese.
He's absolutely right.
He is right.
Whoa.
Go on.
Right, okay. Rex Reese has said why they work in the metric system, right? The 2 reasons were working in both the medical and military worlds, right? James, what's your excuse? Go.
My excuse is that I live in countries where they use these measurements, and that's where I was mostly asked those questions. Why is this so difficult for you to understand?
In the percentage of your life, did you live more in the countries that used like feet and inches?
Absolutely, that's irrelevant because it's in the percentage of places where I've been asked these questions.
Very relevant. Sorry,
it's not. It's completely irrelevant. It's because it was in those countries that I've been mostly asked these questions for things like IDs.
Where did you school?
What is this?
Your education.
This has nothing to do with it. This is ridiculous.
No, nothing to do with it.
Hang on. As Rex Reese said, he lived in the UK most of his life, but then he still does the same sort of thing.
Oh, right. You're having a pop at a military man, are you?
No, I'm having a pop at you for being an idiot and not realising that other countries, have different systems to the imperial one.
Good luck to you with that one, military man.
It's just weird, isn't it? Because obviously imperial measurements are pretty much bullshit, but for some reason,
they make no sense
in terms of height and weight. For some reason, we seem to have sort of stuck with them, even though we've gone metric for basically everything else. It's really weird. Yep. Also, it makes kilometers per hour. I still have no concept of them. I'm a miles man.
See, that's the thing. I can't. That's the thing. Like, if it's miles per hour, that again, I'm with that. Like, I can't do kilometers because I didn't drive a car.
Why?
Because I didn't drive a car in China, Dave.
Interesting.
That's why.
Interesting. Maybe you should have. I tell you what, it's weird when you look at because obviously I work on a lot of plans and stuff and detail drawings and all that sort of stuff, and we use millimeters and meters, obviously, because when you look at like if I get sent a drawing from like the 70s or whatever, and I look at it and it's like 1 foot and 7/4 of a third of an inch. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
It baffles me that, like,
convert this?
As you know, I work with farmers sometimes. Hectares still very much a thing.
Yep, we do hectares. Yeah.
Don't surely just squared meters or squared miles would be.
No, areas measured in feet for us, and
see, that's the other thing. Like whenever I used to rent places when I've been abroad, the first question people always ask you is, "How many square meters is it?" Like your apartment or whatever. It's always the question that people ask. They never ask me how many square foot or whatever something is.
Do they do that? I've rented places and I've never asked what it is in area, because they'll go like, right, here's what would happen with me. Okay, how many square foot is it? And they'll go, 2,000 square foot. Right. Is that good? No, I'm not. Yes, it's very good. Okay, fine. I'll take your word for it, Mr. Estate Agent. I know that you're very trustworthy people. Right, okay, should we move on? But I'm sure there's a estate agent that wants
we absolutely have to move on.
I was going to say, is this better or worse than when we started the Patreon talks over with Hot Chocolate Chat?
Just
Go on.
Penguin of Death has messaged, "Hi guys, listening to the podcast this week and hearing you all bemoan about 3D TV and how rubbish it was. I found an application that no one seems to know about, so I wondered if you had ever seen it. I was in Tokyo in 2013 for my honeymoon, and somehow when we were exploring, we ended up in the Sony Center in Tokyo. This massive skyscraper had every Sony product imaginable and was heaven for a technology nerd like myself. They set up a PS3 with one of their 3D televisions and Gran Turismo. Those were the Sony TVs that had the active glasses, and it was set up so each player could only see their own car and position on the track. When watching the screen as a spectator, it was a horrible mishmash of images, but when you put on the glasses, you can only see your game. Each player had a full screen of their screen, so no more split screen. It wasn't great to spectate, but putting on the glasses was mind-blowing. I would have loved a 3D TV just for that reason. I think the glasses gave each player either the left or right images in both lenses, so that each player was a different eye, i.e. player 1 saw left eye picture and player 2 was a right. Love the podcast, keep it up. Cheers for getting all of us through this pandemic.
No, wasn't it micro flashing? So, like, obviously it's not a solid picture, so it would throw up like one frame of one screen and one frame of the other and flicker between the two. Wasn't that how it worked?
Oh, possibly, yeah.
I do remember this thing where you could only see your part of the screen, right? But I do remember that. I'd
seen that. Well, it was the whole screen. You'd see the whole screen, but it would just be your view.
Yeah.
Yes.
And someone else would look at the same screen, and it would just be their view. That was what the mind-blowing aspect was. But I'm assuming, A, it wasn't reliable, the tech. You know, I bet the glasses were way too fucking expensive as well, if you needed to get a replacement. And also, like, doesn't that, in theory, halve your frame rate for your game?
I mean, it does, but I suppose no more than doing a 3D image anyway, because it's still having to render twice as many frames.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, yeah, but I get
there must be a very good
reason
reason why that didn't take off.
Yeah,
well,
there must
also,
be a good reason why it didn't.
If it's really expensive, and what's the use case? It's only just for like games. People are not going to be interested,
so
are
people
they?
play split screen local multiplayer,
which is not.
Yeah, it's true.
Really
it's games, and then you reduce that down to games that you can play multiplayer on the sofa, so that's a smaller audience. Then you reduce that to split screen games. That just like reduces down like further and further, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of you could see that actually the technology was probably amazing, but for the potential audience, it just fucking wasn't worth it.
Plus, for the cost of what 3D TVs were back then, probably cheaper to just buy another telly and a console.
yeah. Sellotape them together back to back.
But no, it is a really cool idea. But as you say, I think it's just such a limited use case that's not going to be a selling point, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Dalton has messaged, someone made a prediction that Dreamcast games would come to Game Pass, but did you know that some Dreamcast games came to 360 and were made backwards compatible with one and the series consoles? Having that knowledge makes a prediction not so far-fetched, but would be interesting is if you insert a Dreamcast disc of Crazy Taxi, for example, into an Xbox and you got a 360 version for free.
No, that's not part of my prediction. I'm not having that.
No, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
But that would be interesting.
that is true. Like, some of those games did come out, but some of them, like Crazy Taxi, the soundtrack was all different, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all mashed up or whatever. No, my prediction. I think my prediction is quite clear that it has to be billed as Dreamcast games coming to Game Pass. Yeah. Like, it can't just be, this game was on the Dreamcast and it's on Game Pass. Like, it can't be that. It needs to be a clear, hey, they're going to promote it as that.
I don't think they need to anymore, Dave. I don't think it's going to be that much of a piracy.
Yeah, the predictions were quite crazy last week, weren't they, when we look back? Just a week
I think mine were great. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, okay, next.
Luke Summerhays, as a kid, I was really into marzipan. Like the little frogs and that from a cake shop. Probably couldn't finish one now. That said, I still love and always love a stick of rock. I like chewy sweets and rock is next level. Fuck your toffee pennies. I did look into getting custom. Oh my god, there's loads of feedback into our messenger. No, sorry. I thought that was something else. I'll move on. When I heard that, I was like, it's like some controller feedback. And he said custom sticks.
I thought he was talking about drumsticks for you, Matt, or something.
Drumsticks. I did look at getting custom sticks made, but you have to bulk order. Hopefully, I can gather 100 fans interested in buying rock. Thanks, Luke.
Rock's not chewy though.
Cool.
It's not chewy. It's rock hard.
It's not chewy. No, it's hard and it splits and it feels like you're going to cut your cheek on it. I will say now, you better not add that edit that out where you had that meltdown there, Matt, because I will be checking tomorrow and I will reference it throughout this episode.
I mean, it's going to be even better if when I take it out and then you sound like an absolute.
Dave's picking on Matt again. Unbelievable.
Remember, I've got the backup. So it's going to find its way eventually. I can't deal with people defending rock. It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
I totally agree.
If you're just going to eat that much pure fucking sugar, there's better ways to do it.
Yeah, just a spoon.
Yeah, granulated sugar.
But get some
not granulated sugar. What is it? No, caster sugar. Is it called?
Which one?
That's the stuff for
what
cakes,
is it called?
Yeah?
The really stupidly thin sugar. I remember like dipping my finger in that when I was a kid and just going, "This is like the most delicious thing ever."
Yeah. Why would you eat anything else?
You mean is this like the powdery stuff, or like?
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean like icing sugar?
Yeah, icing sugar. That's it.
Yeah, but it did have a different name, didn't it? Like caster sugar.
Caster sugar is just like normal white sugar.
Nah, it's not that then.
Okay.
It's not that then, Sean.
Okay, let's move on.
It's the other one. It's the powder one.
Do you remember when? I don't know if you guys ever had this. I don't know if it's still a thing. When you went to the doctor as a kid, they just give you a sugar cube at the end of the appointment. And I think it was like weird like.
Sean, I think you went. I think you might have gone to a vet, mate. That's what they do to horses.
I was going to say, I thought
they
I
don't
was
do
a
that
tiny
to
horse. I think it was supposed to be like a weird placebo thing. As if you're supposed to be like, the doctor gave me this cube of sugar. That's probably made me better now. Bollocks, isn't it?
Do you know, Sean? I don't want to get into this because because Lee's going to go off. We've already been recording about nonsense for like the last half an hour.
It's fine,
and it's just
20 minutes.
There's no big news this week. It's fine.
You see, I vaguely remember, and this is probably completely wrong, and somebody's going to explain why it's wrong. There was some kind of medicine that came delivered via a sugar cube, because I remember this as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
I'm looking this up now.
Is that how you got your vaccine?
Do you know one of those memories that you have as a kid and then you share it with everyone and everyone's like, what? I think that might have been one of those, right? I don't remember. A sugar cube.
It did.
Well, you just popped it out of the pocket.
Okay, wait a minute. What am I doing? Can you hear me? Yeah?
Oh, don't Google because you've got the loudest fucking setup.
Can you hear me, right? I can't remember if I unmuted it or not. Right, yeah. Because I did just Google.
Yeah, there is an oral sugar cube vaccine.
Yeah, it's memories of the sugar cube vaccination. I'm just having a look. Yeah,
What's this, 1920s?
No, because it was polio. That was it. It was a polio vaccine.
Yeah, 1962 they started doing it.
Yeah,
when did they stop doing it? 1963?
I don't know. Let's move on.
I'm not researching this now, not on the show. Can we just move on?
Okay, all right.
Fucking hell, this whole...
slowing it up, James. You're going, let me Google it. Right, let's go.
This whole intro is getting deleted. We're going to end with...
episode this week, guys. We fucked it. Fucked it. Just forget it.
Yeah.
Release it anyway. No, promise. We're doing you a favour.
We're going to end with Sura. I think that's how you pronounce it. Hello, fellas. I've not yet finished the Gotti show, round 1 so far, but hearing Infinite didn't win, having to listen to hours of you lot say such potential had me sad, and knowing our boy gets so drunk he votes for the wrong game has me looking forward to the next lot of gardening while listening. So the listener poll on Google, why not promote the poll on Twitter during the voting? Have a competition like the Yeti one? Each day you guys take a turn at being the TCGS account promoting the poll, and at the end have a Twitter poll on who was the best. And if you are worried about someone gaming that Twitter poll, in my opinion, a poll with a prize of bragging rights isn't as important as a Gotti slot, and the constant slagging off of the unfair win could be fun, will make it anonymous. By this, I mean don't tell us who is controlling a TCGS account on 1, 2, 3, 4 of the Gotti poll. We just vote based on which day was the most fun and who tapped out the tweet. Hope that makes sense. Good job, boys. Keep it up, sure. None of that made sense at all.
Okay, so basically I think they mean that, so each day...
This is one of those things where we need a whiteboard to write all this down.
No, I think I get it. So basically, there's 4 days, and each day one of us has a go at basically being the social media manager for the TCGS account. And it's their job to promote the poll.
Right.
And then whoever gets the most votes in on that, but then I suppose that's skewed towards whoever goes first, right? Because the votes are going to be front loaded, you would think.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, each of us get a day of having a turn at being the one promoting the poll. I think that's quite a good idea.
Okay.
James, have you ever sent one tweet from TCGS?
Yes, I have. No, I have. I've done a few. Not that many, but I have.
Also, I don't like the fact that, it's... Oh, yeah, we all take it in turns to try and be the best person on social media. We have someone who has a career in doing that on this. Okay, fuck it. Let's have 1 week where we've all got to design a warehouse. Let's do that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And the winner of that wins the game. I'd love to see Matt's. I genuinely love to see what Matt comes up with. Right, okay, is that it for the feedback?
That's it for feedback. If you want to leave us feedback.
What's a weird feedback section, but sorry.
If you want to leave us feedback that makes sense, go to tcgs.co/deartcgs.
I promise you now, though, the video game stuff is going to get good. All right? So if you've made it this far, this is where it flies. James Farley, what's the news?
Well, just after we recorded last week, which is what always seems to happen. Well, okay, it was the day after, which was annoying. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. Well, they haven't actually bought them yet, but they've filed all the stuff to buy them for $68.7 billion. And so that's going to be closing by the end of next year, apparently.
Let's get this out of the way first.
Must have missed it.
Is it a curse now? Do we treat it as a curse now? Are we saying this is a curse? Because how many times have we recorded an episode and between recording and publishing there's been a major news story? Like, it's happened a lot, right? It's happened a lot.
It's happened a lot, but we can move our recording day and it's still up on the next day. It doesn't matter. It's just one of things.
Well, do I say this on the podcast? I guess I can because it's out there. Sarah Dyer tweeted me today, sent me a DM saying, "Did you know that Google Stadia haven't tweeted for 10 days? Like the official Google Stadia account haven't tweeted for 10 days."
Right.
And tomorrow is their usual fortnightly blog update.
Mm-hmm.
So if Google Stadia is shut down tomorrow, it is going to be that officially calls this a curse.
I don't think it's going to, because I got an email from them the other day promoting their monthly games or whatever. They're still doing that.
Yeah, what were they?
I got that too.
I don't remember.
Your
what
monthly
they were,
games are here.
I mean, come on, they were from games from 2004 or something. I don't know what they are.
For Stadia. Right, okay. Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. Firstly, I don't know. Look, this is a big deal. I'm not belittling this still at all. But did you guys have the same reaction to me, where I saw the story, went crazy, and thought, oh my God, because this was like being tweeted by journalists like about 10 minutes before the announcement. Oh, I'm hearing Microsoft are making a big move to buy Activision. And then like 10 minutes later, Microsoft was like, yeah, we're going to own Activision. But when they posted the tweet with the pictures of the games, I looked at that and went, oh,
is
all
that
right, that's what you get for your money, is it? Like, I mean, Call of Duty, obviously, Juggernaut, I think it needs a shaking up. I think whether Microsoft take that series in a different direction or not, I don't know whether they'll have the power to do so. I don't know. But, like, I looked at the list of games and I just went, that's the only one I care about, and I don't really care about it that much. So.
That's not it, though, is it? Because recently Activision have just been focused on only a couple of games. Like, they've not been doing anything, and they've got like a whole back catalogue of tons of stuff that they've not done anything with.
What am I missing? What series would you say is something that Activision haven't touched for a while that could make a huge comeback?
Okay, so they have. They've got Hexen, which is another one which fits in with like.
What's Hexen?
It was like a it was
like a fantasy FPS, wasn't it, on PC?
Yeah.
And then there was Heretic as well, a spin off from that. We're good.
All right.
But yeah, they have got stuff. It's not that they've got nothing. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't remember anything. Okay, Guitar Hero. They got Guitar Hero. That's another one which they've obviously not done anything with for a long time. There's
Tony Hawk,
Tony Hawk. They have got a lot of things.
A new proper good Tony Hawk game coming straight to Game Pass would be pretty cool,
because
right?
It was only last year when we heard the news that Vicarious Visions or whoever did it, they were actually just now working on World of Warcraft stuff rather than us all being like, oh my God, okay, so the remake, the 1 and 2 remastered was amazing. what maybe they'll do free and underground or brand new one. This is so good, and then we get a news saying actually no, that studio now is just doing WoW DLC or whatever.
Because that's what happened to Raven
that's
as well.
a perfect example of what Activision have done. Like so many of their studios, were then just doing okay. You're doing this, or you're supporting COD or Warcraft, and that's one of the most exciting things. We get. Hopefully, these studios can be taken away from just working on various iterations of COD or Warcraft, and actually, we do get a new Tony Hawk's. We do get a new Spyro. I don't know.
I mean, Dave, how would you feel about a new iCarly? Because they own that.
Look, you have found the key to my heart, James Farley. So yeah, I'll be bang up for that. Look, it's obviously huge. I think Call of Duty still sells millions, still tops the charts when it comes out. It's still a big deal. I do think it needs a bit of a refocus. We spoke about time off. Obviously, it doesn't affect any games that are coming out this year, because it's not likely that they'll take over Activision until next year.
Probably not even next year's ones, really.
Really?
Well, yeah,
because
this
things
is
are
already
already
done
being developed
by fiscal 23, so done by June 23, and obviously, if it takes that long, then they're obviously they'll be working on 2023's games by that point. So, well,
I mean, they pulled the plug on Halo Infinite about 2 weeks before it was due to come out and took it in a new direction. So, I mean, it could go anywhere.
I think the hope here is that Microsoft buying this will mean that they'll be able to redistribute, the talent that there is at Activision, because obviously, there is into other directions and also into other games, not just Call of Duty.
For sure.
That would be the thing which would be good. But then also, I mean, there has been reports saying that maybe Call of Duty will cease to be a yearly thing. It may at least the single player campaigns and all that kind of stuff. I mean, stuff like Warzone's going to be around. They're just going to keep iterating on that, I'd imagine. But the other stuff, maybe they move into other directions.
Yeah, I kind of think that the important thing here is that they don't need to have Warzone tied to the latest one anymore, do they?
No.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to predict without knowing, without going deep into the sales, because it's easy to say that. I mean, the next story is about how Sony expects Activision games to stay multi-platform, and it's well within Microsoft's interest to do that. It's well within Microsoft's interest to release Call of Duty on PlayStation, because that's money sitting there, isn't it?
You could say that, but then you could have said the same thing about Bethesda as well, and then all of their new stuff is only going to be on Xbox. All of their stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I think they probably will with this. Like with Call of Duty, I think they probably will. That will continue. Although maybe it will only continue as Warzone. Maybe they won't bother with the single player campaign anymore. On those platforms.
I mean, what's nuts is that all right, Warzone's free to play, right? Is it free to play, or have you got to own one of the?
No, it is free to play. You can download it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe actually just releasing the campaigns, it gives them a big showcase for because as I said, I've always said this about Call of Duty, right? People love Call of Duty. You watch all the marketing, and it's based around the single player campaign, solely for the reason that it looks good. You know what I mean? Showing a little bit of multiplayer as a campaign, like a marketing campaign, isn't exactly the best way of doing it, even though that's where all their players are, that's where all the money is.
Yeah.
They show single player campaigns. So to have, announce a new Call of Duty just to Game Pass, but while still using Sony players for Warzone as a sort of cash cow, that kind of lines up, doesn't it? It kind of makes sense. I think that makes
total sense. But not just single player exclusive, like a single player and the other kind of more standard COD multiplayer. It's just everything but Warzone, I think, will be exclusive to Xbox, and then Warzone can stay be multi-platform.
The reason for buying this as well is not just Activision Blizzard anyway, it's King as well, because they want the mobile market. That's where Microsoft don't have hardly any footprint whatsoever. And then buying King is a big deal. If they do that, I mean, this is where I see them. I think there's going to be more tiers of Game Pass are going to come, and one of those is going to be Game Pass Mobile, and it's going to be that sort of stuff, but for mobile instead. That's how I think they're going to expand Game Pass, because I think if they want all of those people that are playing mobile games, the King stuff that comes out, if they want to get people into a subscription model, I don't think those people are not going to be paying £10 or £15 a month for that. and I think there'll be something much cheaper that will just be for mobile. I think that's what will happen there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll do that. The Game Pass Ultimate is everything.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's kind of like what they do with PC and Xbox at the moment, right? You can buy them separately.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, majority of people just getting Game Pass Ultimate because there are other benefits involved. You've got cloud, PC, and Xbox games. So it kind of makes sense. But I don't know, man. The other side of this is all the discussion about whether this is a monopoly. I can see the concerns going forward if they continue to purchase big companies like Activision Blizzard. Based on this sale alone, I don't see it. Like, I don't know how you can argue that it's a monopoly based on this.
And also this only still makes them like the third biggest behind like Tencent and Sony. So if this took them over the edge, then there could be arguments about that. But
just going into the lead isn't one thing, but when you're considering a monopoly, you look at that and go, monopoly is all about consumer choice, right? And you say, you look at Microsoft and say, are there alternatives to buying an Xbox? Well, yes, there is. Are there alternative developers that you can turn to, provided elsewhere? Yes, there are. I can't see an argument in how this has become a monopoly.
I agree, and I think that's true, and I wouldn't say that this is monopoly-like, but then one of the things which like the American government is much more interested in at the moment, because of what's happened with like Apple and Google with the App Store and everything, is they're putting in new protections for this idea of like giving preferential treatment to your properties. You see, like for people, so for example, if you are buying something, for Xbox, if Microsoft promote their own stuff over like third-party stuff, then that becomes a problem. If you see what I mean, and that's what Game Pass is designed to do. If you see what I mean, so that's.
You do also consider the fact that this is, there was reports that the FCC are going to look into it, as they do with things like this. I've heard lots of stories about FCC, mainly based around satellite radio. But you look into that and you just think, are the FCC going to see what is truly a monopoly, or are they going to say, actually, we need to bring this into place to protect a Japanese company over an American one? And you go, actually, politically, even that I can't see it being called.
But then it's not just America, though. This has to go through regulation approval in other countries as well.
Of course, yeah.
And it can be stopped. I mean, if you look at what happened with Facebook, like with Giphy and everything, like they can't use that now because it was stopped in the UK. This. But I mean, but to be clear, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, I think this is going to get tied up, and I don't think there'll be any problems with it at all.
Yeah, for sure. The other side of it, obviously, the other talking point that was hitting the internet when this was announced was, morally, where does this sit? Because, Activision Blizzard are going through lawsuits. They've had some terrible reports of abuse and, all that sort of nastiness that's floated to the surface recently. Where does it sit morally for Microsoft swooping in and buying a company with all this going on?
It's been really interesting, hasn't it? Like, I really like Phil Spencer, but that some people, I don't know, I feel like there's been this sort of quite naive assumption that he's going to like personally march around the Activision Blizzard offices and whip the shit out of anyone who's been bad, which I think is, I don't know, right? Because on the one hand, obviously we'd all love that to happen. Like if there was just a huge clear out of all the people accused of abuse and discrimination, etc. But I don't know. I feel like they could hide behind a lot of basically all the stuff that Ubisoft have done. Like, we're doing our best, but it's hard. But then Phil Spencer, in particular, has made a reputation for just doing things that people would normally say is too hard and not do. Like, just the moves he's made with Xbox. It's just felt like this constant stream of just like of him just being like, no, you can just make these decisions and make them happen if you really want to. So do you know what I mean? It's like he's got a reputation for just getting stuff done, which I think is why people are so ready to believe that this is going to be this sort of incredible clean out.
Which I think there will be. Like, I've no doubt that it's definitely going to be probably better under Microsoft than it would be, as it obviously is at the moment.
It's in Microsoft's best interest to get rid of that, isn't it?
On the other hand,
even as a PR move, it's in their best interest to get rid of the sort of the people that are in all these reports.
Well, yeah. Plus,
right?
like how many layers of management do they still need at Activision Blizzard if they're buying? Like, surely they just need the developers.
But as you say, it's naive to think that Phil Spencer represents the wider corporation of Microsoft, because he doesn't.
And it's still a corporate. You're still asking one corporation to clean up another, which doesn't sound amazing.
My understanding is that Microsoft do, certainly, well, in American terms at least, do look after people and have like pretty good employee retention. But
there has been issues though.
Yes,
I mean, especially involving
with contractors.
Unions. And when Phil Spencer said he didn't know anything about unions and stuff, I mean that's bullshit. Like, there's no way he doesn't know anything about any of that. It's but either way, I still would say that almost certainly this is better than Activision running things. It's Well,
this is it, and people were saying that this means Kotick gets this amount of money, and look at what all the abuse claims, and he's walking away with a huge payday.
Do you want to know how much? 'Cause I've got all the figures here.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that point of view 100%, of course. But I always think, what's the alternative then?
Well, the alternative, as it says here, so apparently he holds 3.9 million shares of the company's stock. And so he stands to make 371 million as a shareholder from this. But then apparently, if they fire him upon closure of the deal, which is without cause or good reason, he can get a payout of almost 293 million anyway.
He was always going to get hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
But apparently he's going to get a payout of 390 million.
What's the alternative? That they don't get bought out and Kotick stays in that position?
Well, apparently he's been trying to sell the company for a while. One of the things they were trying to do was, apparently they were trying to get like Meta involved. Like they were saying, maybe Facebook would like to buy us instead. And this seemed to, this is where there's been all this speculation as to whether, was this Kotick's exit strategy was to get bought so then he could get out and get all the cash and not have any accountability, was the thing. But we don't know.
And obviously I can see, I can absolutely see why people think that is gross. Like he should not be rewarded for the way he's run the company. But as absolutely you say, not. But then you sort of, on the other hand, it's like, as sad as it is, there's no part of me that ever honestly believed that he might go to fucking prison for what he's done. Much as I would like to see
that, because we're all talking corporate protection of their CEO, right? And we're talking about how this person that's been accused of all this stuff is still in charge of this major company, right? And but we're not talking about why. How is this not a legal issue? Why? How has this not gone beyond internal reviews? But that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, I think we're not really equipped to.
But it has though, hasn't it? Like I thought the US government was investigating as well.
Right. Okay. So regardless of what happens with this Microsoft sale, is there still a chance that? Again, Sean, you're probably right. I don't know enough about it. We're not equipped to.
No, I see what you mean. Just because he sells a company doesn't mean he's not culpable for anything illegal he may have done while he was in charge. Yeah,
at that company. Yeah. So I don't.
But the trouble is, it's not. But you can be really shitty without doing stuff that's technically illegal.
Oh yeah, of course. But the reports that we were hearing they're definitely not legal. You know what I mean? So, I hear the people. I hear all the comments basically. Like I understand that, but then when I think I understand people getting angry at this sale, and I get that side of things 100%. But then when I kind of think, well, what's the alternative? He just carries on in that job doing what he's doing as it is, or hopefully, and there was that news story that he's being left in charge. Well, of course he's being left in charge because the sale doesn't go through till next year at the very earliest. Yeah. So that was a bit of a stoking the fire.
Everyone reading those, like Microsoft or Activision, no one can say what's going to happen because until the sale goes through, nothing can be said legally. So obviously, it will say, he's going to stay in position, but.
It's really interesting though, isn't it? The fact that we had all these horrible stories coming out and everything, and then you got responses from Phil Spencer and Sony and all that kind of thing saying, we think it's terrible what's going on there, and then Microsoft swoop in. It's like the question is did they do this because they could get it cheaper as well because of all of this?
Very possibly.
Yeah, that's been
I don't put it past them.
Really
do you know what I mean? You wouldn't put it past them. But then moving away from that side of things for a second, I thought it was really interesting to see Sony react the way they did. Like, for them to come out and comment on a sale like that in the way that they did, saying, well, we assume that they're going to keep to their contractual agreements.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's really... that shows a bead of sweat, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
think?
20 billion was knocked off of their share price in 24 hours, and COD's been like the biggest seller for the last 2 years running. So if just the thought of Call of Duty leaving PlayStation platforms, that is a massive hit to their to their revenue. So it's obviously a bit of a nervy time, but there are contracts in place, and obviously since then, Phil Spencer tweeted saying he's had great chats with people at Sony, and I'm not sure we mentioned Nintendo, but he said definitely Sony, and that they're obviously their intent is to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation platforms. Obviously, every word said in these tweets and these other quotes and things from press releases are all perfectly, written in a way that doesn't. If they go back on it, it doesn't quite. It's not black and white. Basically, like the word saying it's their intent to keep on the platform. Doesn't say we're 100% keeping it regardless.
Can I read the exact quote? He says, I had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honour all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry. We value our relationship. But it's desire to. It's like, we don't desire that anymore. Or, it's
we desired to do it, but, there was technical problems. It just couldn't. It just didn't happen. Sorry.
For me, the biggest thing is I still think I was shocked. This must be one of the biggest gaming news stories ever, really. Just like the sheer size of the company. I thought we all knew Microsoft would make more acquisitions, but I didn't think it would be the size of Activision Blizzard.
No, because obviously when they bought Bethesda, that was like, oh shit, that's amazing, and then this is 3 times the cost.
Well, yeah, 10 times.
Isn't it?
That's wow, massive, times. 7 billion.
Of course, only set right.
When you see Bethesda, though, you look at that and it's like there's a lot more games there that I care about that they're playing.
That's it. When I look at that, I look, Fallout, and I'm not into Skyrim stuff, but that Starfield looks like that could be brilliant.
They've got tons of stuff. It's like,
but Activision have got tons of stuff. It's just that they haven't been using them.
I was going to say, is this just us? Not like I know, Dave. Like I know you like Call of Duty, but we're not. None of us are big Call of Duty players. Certainly none of us are big World of Warcraft players. Obviously, I quite liked Overwatch. Given everything that's been going on at Activision Blizzard, I probably wasn't going to get Overwatch 2. Do you know what I mean? Is this just us being out of the loop? Are these things much bigger than we realise?
Would you say Call of Duty is a big game? Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But do you know what I mean? Just the sheer scale of it, I think perhaps sometimes gets away from us,
It does, 100%. Because that's what I was saying, going back to what I was originally saying, looking at that image of what they own now. Like, I was looking at that and going, all right. Do you know what I mean? It was like, but I don't know, man. It's interesting to see if they're going to make another move. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure they will now. Because
Microsoft has said that they're not done.
Yeah.
I know, but then it starts to become more Monopoly-like if you start to say, okay, yeah, we bought Ubisoft, or okay, yeah, we bought EA, or whatever. That becomes
who's bigger? Who would be bigger? It would be EA, right?
I'd imagine so.
That would probably be the top.
But you see, even that would be difficult because, those, if you look at EA, it's FIFA and things like that. But then, there must be licenses that FIFA have got that say this has got to be multi-platform or whatever. It's
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't see, say, for example, the Premier League and all of that saying we want to be it's an exclusive to one console. It's in similar what happened. What was it? The Big Show, the Sony game, that they released on Xbox. Was it Big Show? The
is MLB The Show?
MLB The Show.
Big Show's the wrestler.
MLB The Show. Big Show's a wrestler, isn't he? Yeah. The Big Show. He was just a man with a caveman.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Top on, wasn't he? Why was that good? Why was that good, Sean?
Don't ask me.
Go, I love the Big Show. Why? He's just got a black toga thing on. All right. Weird.
I mean, the other thing about this, though...
Never understood it.
Consider, just the sheer number of studios that Microsoft own now. It's crazy. And I do wonder how that's going to pan out with Game Pass, in the sense of, if you've got so much content, available and so much coming out, that's going to be really difficult to manage. Like giving everything its time in the sun. Getting enough people involved and all that kind of thing. It's
it's like how Netflix do it. There's always every week or every other week there's like something big coming to Netflix. So that's basically what they want.
But that's different because something big coming to Netflix is like, okay, that's like what 10 hours tops of like content or whatever. Games are much bigger and much more like extensive,
but also much smaller sometimes.
But you can play games as and when you want. You don't need, I mean, for people that want to play on day one, like I understand that, but you got to remember those games stay on there, so you'll get round to it. They're there for you eventually. I think what we'll see is less smaller indie games on there.
I think that's likely. Yeah.
What we're going to see, like less third-party games on there. Because all games are now first-party games to Microsoft.
That's true, yeah.
Why
don't they pay the
think
people for them when they're already
I
funding, God knows how many games themselves? Like,
hold on, why would they go out and make deals with...
Yeah, why would they want to fund indie games now if they can put out loads of these other games which they know for certain people are going to be interested in because they've got all the licenses and all the properties and everything? Why? Would you fund indies?
For the same reason I have indie games on now, because they know not everyone is into the massive big AAA things. And also... the amount of like data that's out there saying actually no, this is good for sales. They know that games on there lead to further sales, lead to purchases after people.
I don't see it. I think
this isn't just going to be a AAA service. They know people want all sorts of things.
Yeah, but Sony did the same thing. Like if you think about like the beginning of like the PS4, that was all like indie stuff. Like they pushed that really hard because they didn't have anything else.
Model, though, now.
I know, but they didn't have anything else at that time, and that's one of the reasons why Microsoft have pushed them so hard on Game Pass as well, because they needed content. They don't need content so much now. They've got a lot.
I think it's ridiculous to think that just because they've bought the Activision that they'll then just not bother with indies and third parties so much.
That's not what we said.
Is that what we said? Is that we'll see less of them?
Yeah, there will be less indie games.
I think it's mad to think that. I think just because they bought them, it doesn't mean there's going to be less indies. I think that's indies.
But why would they need to do that?
But because people want different things, not everyone.
Yeah, I know, and they can still provide that without just putting tons of indie stuff on there.
Yeah,
which is what they currently do.
Why would you pay money out to other companies when you have your own companies that can do it as part of your?
I suppose it just depends on whether or not they've purchased enough studios to keep a constant stream of stuff. Like if there's gaps in the schedule and you can pay an indie dev like a relatively small amount of money to make a given week seem a bit more exciting, then I can see them still doing that. But yeah, I absolutely take the point that like if they've got enough of their own studios putting stuff out, they're going to be much more reluctant to pay anyone else.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of sad, but it makes sense business. If business-wise, if they've got that treadmill of games just constantly flowing in throughout the year, then the odd, like for example, what they did with Death's Door, it didn't launch on Game Pass. They left it a while. It was a massive game. They put it on at the end of the year, like a few months after it came out, probably 6 months or whatever. They put it on Game Pass. That sort of was of a certain quality. They put that on there. Whereas now we're getting loads of games that you just kind of go, actually, this of a quality standard. You can see that's just have a tick box on. We have got 150 games or whatever.
Also, what I mean? If they want to reach like 100 million Game Pass subscribers or whatever, you do that with like licenses and stuff like that, and with things that people know, that they want to get into, and that's why they're going to push that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, if we move on, some other stuff that's happened is the Call of Duty QA workers have voted to unionize now. So these are QA testers at Raven Software, and they voted to unionize with the Communication Workers of America. So 78% of these QA workers voted in favour of this, and now they're asking Activision Blizzard to voluntarily recognise the union, which they're calling it's the Game Workers Alliance. And it consists of 34 employees. Do you want to hear what Activision Blizzard have got to say about it?
Is it going to make me sad and angry?
Fuck. Go on.
So they said Activision Blizzard is carefully reviewing the request for voluntary recognition from the CWA, which seeks to organise around 36 of the company's nearly 10,000 employees. While we believe that a direct...
that is... what a fucking shit thing to say that is.
While we believe that a direct relationship between the company and its team members delivers the strongest workforce opportunities, we deeply respect the rights of all employees under the law to make their own decisions about whether or not to join a union. Yes, that's all they said.
not at all.
Yeah, especially when they just say like around 3 dozen, nearly 10,000. It's just I'm
not being funny, but the reports that have come out over the past 3 or 4 years about what goes on at game studios or has gone out on some game studios, right? If there's ever a time where unions should be coming together, it's now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and coming out with quotes like that just makes you look like the evil company. It's fucking NeoCab in a fucking press statement. That is, do you know what I mean?
Well, especially when
it's
they
ridiculous.
say, we believe that a direct relationship between the company and its team members delivers the strongest workforce opportunities. Well, that's clearly bullshit. Like from what's happened over the last couple of years, that's clearly not true.
This in particular, because this has been a Raven Software, which again, like Matt was saying, this is another studio that used to produce loads of great games in its own right and is now just, making Call of Duty stuff. This is because was it a load of contractors were just let go with no notice whatsoever. So a load of staff there have all been striking for a while now, and it's just absolutely gross.
And as these studios get bigger and bigger, you absolutely need collective bargaining to be able to deal with these things, it's there you go. The last story connected with this. So this came out from the Wall Street Journal because apparently Bobby Kotick wanted to buy a gaming website so that he could change what they call Activision's public narrative. So the idea was that
it's like a villain in a it's like Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah. Oh, the newspapers are saying bad things about us. What can we buy the newspapers? It's the most fucking obviously shitty thing to do. That anyone would see right through. Any normal person would be like, what the fuck, man? That's ridiculous. And yet that's where his mind goes. That just goes to show what sort of person he is, that this is how he solves problems, isn't it?
Well, apparently he was it was Kotaku was one of the companies, and PC Gamer. He was interested in...
Activision Blotaku, brilliant.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. No, it's still Kotaku, yeah, definitely. We changed the name a bit, but it's still Kotaku, it's independent.
So they apparently Activision Blizzard have disputed the Wall Street Journal's report, but then when they spoke to Polygon, they said they had no further comment on it. So it's quite interesting. But that's pretty terrible. Shall I move on to the last one? Yeah, because this is the last main story I've got. So
I don't think
Lego
we need to
Star
read this
Wars.
one out. I think this is fine. I think we can move on.
So Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga is arriving in April. It's coming on the 5th of April, but then also Polygon have done a big report on the problems that there's been at... Is it Traveller's Tales still? Is that what it's still
TT
called?
Games now, isn't it? Yeah,
TT Games.
Different studios within the company. I think there is still a Traveller's Tales. One of the studios is still called that, but yeah.
So the Polygon report talks about really one of some of the reasons why it's taken so long to come out, but then also the problems there are in the studio because there's been a very high staff turnover. And
this was such a bummer, this story, wasn't it? Because they showed the launch trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing at the fact that the day before we put out a podcast where Sean says it will be radio silence, because there was a few people defending you, Sean, saying, well, it's not out yet, is it? Let's see if it does come out in April. And I just had replied, nah, the bet was that there'd be radio silence, and that they've already broken their silence on this game.
Much radio noise.
Regardless of when it comes out in April. But so firstly I was laughing at Sean, then I watched the trailer and went, this looks fucking incredible. I am so up for this. And then the news story come out about, that game that you really like the look of, the staff were going through hell putting that together. When's it going to start? When's it going to stop?
Not for a while. That's what gets me is that, reading the Polygon report, and it's, very specifically like a few managers making life shit for everyone else. And you just think, how have these people not read the reports from Ubisoft, Activision, etc., and not been do you know what? I should probably sort my shit out.
Because they think...
Because it's money, isn't it?
Public scrutiny should not be the only reason, right? It should not be, they should just want to be better anyway. But surely the impetus of someone's going to write one of these stories about me.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that would be enough to be hang on, I need to think about how I'm behaving here.
No, because what's more important, an article being written about you, or you achieving as like it's all about profit margins and hitting deadlines and keeping shareholders out. It's money. That's the difference.
Yeah, when you got like boards saying, "Look, this game is coming out at this time. Do whatever it takes to ensure that game comes out at that time."
But it doesn't work though, does it? Because
sure
the game's fucking late
I'm
anyway.
sure we don't want to be monsters.
The game's been delayed massively.
It's been delayed massively, and then also you've had like a hostile environment for women at work. Yep. You know, female staff being subjected to bullying and comments about appearance and stuff, and
sorry, to be clear, I am not defending what they're doing.
No, I know.
Is what I'm saying is that when you look at it from their point of view, that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
They want to make as much money as humanly possible, and that is the most important thing. And it is wrong. Like, I'm totally with you, Sean. I think in the long run, I can see what you're saying. That it's, you know, you look at these other companies being destroyed and going through all this PR hell, and maybe it would make you second guess it. But I don't think that's enough for these people to go, that's more important than money here and now.
That's true. I suppose they're already not interested in what people think about them, aren't they? I think is
no, of course not.
Yeah, they all think they're untouchable as well. They think, oh, wait, that won't happen here, or no one's going to report this, or so.
Which is what we've seen at Ubisoft, where they did seem to be untouchable. You know, because.
Yeah.
Well,
people have been protected,
yeah, you see
or just,
from even the massive places like Activision Blizzard, like, well, hey, nothing's happened there, so nothing's going to happen here. So yeah, that's why they feel like they can get away with it.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, James is right. Ubisoft is the one. You just go, that's gone quiet again.
Yeah,
it has.
Because they went quiet again. Like, it's mad that this is not like Ubisoft's just been swept under the carpet again. And hopefully it'll come up again soon, because it seems to do that every year or so. But nothing's changing there. And you're right, Matt. That's the one to look at then, isn't it? Oh, this is how you get away with it, or this is how you avoid it being in the news every day.
And that's what's so frustrating about the Ubisoft situation, is that there was an opportunity there to show people how these things could be handled, and all they did was teach everyone else that actually you can just keep your head down, and everyone will forget and move on. It's fucked.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, with that in mind, though, and without wanting, trying to separate the art from the artist and everything, which not the healthiest thing to do, obviously, but the game trailer was unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? It really surprised me by how good that game looks.
I've still not watched it. I think I was too annoyed because every time someone linked me to it, it was them going, have you seen this?
I see. Yeah, people winding you up about your prediction.
And not just on the first day. It was a good sort of 3-4 days later. I was still getting tweets about it. So thanks, everyone.
What kills me is that it's soured. Like, I've not watched it since reading that article. And is that soured it for me?
Well, this is it, and this is what sucks. And
the answer is yes, really.
Yeah, we've said this before, because you want to still be able to just celebrate the hard work that has been done, and the dozens and dozens of incredibly skilled people who've put loads into this to make it really good. It's just, how do you do that whilst also not supporting the people who've put those same people through really shitty times to get it done?
Yeah,
it's bollocks.
It's really tough, isn't it?
It is.
It's really tough.
Okay.
Well, I've got a question about this. I saw a trailer, thought it looked fantastic. I can't find anywhere, so I assume not. Doesn't look like there's co-op in this. Have the previous ones all had co-op in?
Oh god,
yeah.
That's been a huge thing.
Thing
co-op. It must have co-op, surely.
There's been no mention of co-op at all in any of the things I've read. I searched for it. I was like, there's just no mention of it. I couldn't find how many players it's got. There's nothing about co-op in the trailer.
No, there must be. There's no way they'd release this without co-op, because the whole foundation of those games has always been co-op.
I thought so, but every piece I read, not one single one mentioned co-op or anything.
It sounds like they've made it quite a bit more complicated as well.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, this was always going to be a departure from the usual Lego games, wasn't it?
Suppose, yeah.
They said that from day one, basically. And just watching that trailer, you could see actually it looks very varied. There's loads of different settings or whatever. It will be set like places that the levels are set, not that you could put inverted controls on or anything. That's a different thing. And it looks wonderful. It's just such a shit to find out that this is going on. I'm really I'm torn over that shit.
The Polygon report is definitely worth reading. It is. It's well put together.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Is that it for the news?
That's it. But I've got some Fantasy Zone.
Oh my god.
Here we go. Sean, Matt, would you like to get in this purple helicopter?
Oh my god. Yes, I would.
And
I'd love nothing more.
it's made of chocolate.
Can I eat it as we fly?
No, because we'll fall out.
I'll just eat the non-essential bits.
When we land, you can eat it, Sean.
Okay.
Don't worry about
Fine,
it.
but then how do we get home?
When it lands, you can eat it. Well, who wants to go home when you've been to Farley's Fantasy Zone?
Fantasy Zone.
Oh, look at that.
This helicopter
Millwall
tastes like
top of the
arse.
Premier League.
Chocolate.
Save me a propeller. Oh, God. Oh, it smells. Look, there's giraffes everywhere. I love it. Right, what, James, what's going on in your fantasy zone today?
I've only got one story, and it's kind of ridiculous. Do you all know Jez Corden?
I mean,
Yes,
not
of course.
Yeah. Well, apparently,
James.
it's not no relation. I hope.
Who's Jez Corden then?
Who's Jez Corden?
He writes for a Windows gaming website.
Okay.
Journalist. Anyway, he has heard.
James, this is your story. You should probably know who the man is.
I know. Well, that's why I was asking you if you knew who he was.
Right.
I was hoping you were going to fill in the blanks.
Okay.
Not for me, but for the listeners.
Exactly,
Can you
yeah.
explain who this person
More
is?
conversational. Yeah.
Anyway, he has heard that Apple is poaching Xbox engineers to make its own console.
Right.
Oh, for fuck's sake. This is a recycled story. How many times have we heard this?
Not on the Fantasy
First
Zone,
time
you
in the
haven't.
Fantasy Zone.
No, that's true.
It's not official
It is
until
the
it's on the
first time on the
Fantasy
Fantasy Zone.
And the last time, hopefully.
I don't know if this is a fantasy, though, is it?
No one's
Is
fantasizing
it?
about that.
More like a nightmare, surely.
I don't think anyone wants this. I certainly wouldn't want this. It'd be...
I
Well,
like Apple stuff, but I wouldn't want this.
No.
This is,
I mean, after
It's because of the history of the fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you know what
every
they'll
time
do.
they've approached gaming, it's been ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it's
man.
always
I
really
don't understand
half-assed,
gaming.
and they always come out with something which looks reasonably interesting, and they just don't bother doing anything with it. It's usually the thing.
Do
You know?
the big rumour, which is I still can't believe, they were pushing Apple TV, which, anecdotally, Apple TV boxes, they weren't the most successful product that Apple ever brought out. And the 1 year they were going, no, we're going to bring the App Store and like gaming to these Apple. So not only is it Apple TV, it's also a gaming console. And I was thinking, you get a control on that, you could download these smaller games. They're not like big games or whatever, but just having it the way that it is at that price, that seems perfect. And then when they announced it, you played all the games with your remote.
Yeah.
It was like, what
I mean,
the fuck?
there is controller
This isn't
support
Sky in
as
the
well, but
early
it's
2000s.
yeah, there is like controller support, but it's rubbish, and
Yeah, but
you
it
can
didn't
get
come with
Apple
it, though,
Arcade
did
on
it?
there as well. But the trouble with it is that also, like Apple TV, if you look at like the App Store on there, it has like the apps that are available haven't changed. I don't think since it launched. It's still the same stuff, and the only stuff that is on there that is probably worth looking at is Apple Arcade. But then that seems to have kind of not died, but it seems to have
fucking awful.
Yeah,
Have you seen this week's big release?
Is it all they've done is they've just changed it so that they just have like those free to play games that are like, but without the adverts in?
There's basically so there's
that's what I've heard.
There's still a few original ones. I mean, looking at the current list of latest releases. So this week, I know you're all really excited about this one. It's Nickelodeon Extreme Tennis. Dropped this week. That's a big one. We then had...
How extreme is it? Does fucking Hey Arnold just
Hey
shout
Arnold
bollocks
is in it.
every time he hits the
He
ball?
is in it, and I might play it for that reason alone.
what are the people from the Loud House? Are they in it?
No idea.
Mind you, they can't do iCarly, can they? Because Microsoft own that now.
damn
so,
it.
yeah.
Well,
What's the
yeah,
point?
18 months.
So then
Pull that right.
we've got Crashlands Plus, which is a premium version of Crashlands. This is all right. It's a good game, but it's not. This isn't exclusive really. You've then got Hearts and Spades Plus, Disney Melee Mania, Splitter Critters Plus, Oddmar Plus, Dandara Trials of Fear Plus. All these plus ones are just, they're just Apple Arcade versions of existing games. And that's mostly what it is now.
And the complaint I've always heard about those is that they're those free-to-play games that with timers and everything on them, which still have timers and stuff on them.
Oh, do they? I've not played any that still have timers on them, and I've not really...
But you don't have to pay money.
You don't have to pay any money to speed it up and stuff. But then the trouble is...
when you go to... Is it like when you go to an arcade and it's on free play?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
First of all, you think, oh, brilliant, but then you actually kind of think, this takes the edge off.
But the trouble is also, those games have been designed to extract money, like as much money as possible out of you as you're playing them. So if you remove that mechanic, it doesn't work.
Doesn't really work, yeah. I mean, what really kills me as well, like, so looking at like the top 10... Apple Arcade games, it's like, okay, so obviously there's going to be like a recency bias here. It's mostly, these like newer, games that are just free versions of existing games. But then despite that, at like 4 and 5 in the charts, you've still got like Sneaky Sasquatch and Mini Motorways, which were really cool original games from quite a while back. So those games are actually still doing well, despite the fact that they've been around for ages, and then they're not really part of this new direction that it's gone in. So it's just depressing as fuck. There was so much cool stuff on Apple Arcade, and there still is. If you just got your first iPad or iPhone or whatever, like, do still have a look at Apple Arcade. It's just you're gonna have to do some digging to find the good stuff.
You usually get 3 months for free or something.
Oh, do you?
So
that's enough probably to check out all the good stuff, and then probably
I think you're right.
Leave it.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, listen, while we're still in Farley's Fantasy Zone, we should talk about the developing stories, shouldn't we, this week with Farley's Fantasy Zone?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Quasar.
It was Laser Quest. There's always been a battle over that. Quasar versus Laser Quest. I thought it was a north-south thing, but it turns out it isn't, because I know plenty of people from the south that call it Quasar still.
I think we had access to both up here.
Why are you calling it that? It's Laser Quest. But I think it is Laser Quest, isn't it? The one in Sheffield that we'd mentioned. I don't know if it is.
God.
I mean, Quasar Sheffield followed us on Twitter.
It's a non-specific.
Is it Quasar
laser-based combat arena game?
iCombat. Wasn't it iCombat?
That's something else. That's like a specific type of Laser Quest.
No, I think this is iCombat because it was in the pictures that I was saying.
No, iCombat is like a separate type of Laser Quest, I think.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, anyway, we'll work out all the details later. But we mentioned on a show recently that there was a Laser Quest /Quasar /iCombat in Sheffield that played the Farley's Fantasy Zone jingle out on the speakers while people were playing. Right, a listener had emailed in and said I was in there in Sheffield and they played that and it was really weird. Well, the manager of that establishment got in touch with us this week and suggested that we do a massive meetup at that venue. And I think it might be happening. So the first thing we need to do is gauge interest. So if we were to organise a Laser Quest, they also have mini golf, which is great.
And escape rooms.
There's a game in... At escape rooms, there's a gaming bar downstairs. If we were to organise a day there, including a live recording of the podcast, this really, like, when I was looking at this and getting excited about it, Joe turned around and went, "You're 37 years of age, right?" And I kind of thought, "Oh yeah, that is," but still, right? I don't care. But when I said, "Oh, but we could do a live show in the birthday party room," right? I kind of thought, oh shit. But then I also thought sounds like the greatest event of all time. If we were to do that in Sheffield, would you be interested? Tweet us at TCGS Co. That's right, isn't it, Matt?
That's the one.
Yep. Let us know if you'd be interested, because if we get a fair number of people, we could organise this. Because there's a hotel right near, there's a fucking Miller and Carter right around the corner. So, dinner's sorted. I imagine that as a day out. Like all of us four, plus a bunch of listeners, playing mini golf, Laser Quest, possibly an escape room, going to a gaming bar afterwards and eating steak. Like, that just sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. And, So obviously I'll be travelling from London, right? And I was looking at the trains, it was like £100. And I was like, oh, that's going to be a sting, that one. I looked at a megabus, it was £9.99 to get up there. So I think I'll be getting on one of those big buses with a big scary face painted on the side of it. £9.99? Yes, please. I'll take 2. Thank you. So I don't know, that might actually happen. And also, as proof, we were sent a video of some kids playing Laser Quest /Quasar, and James's Farley's Fantasy Zone jingle was playing over the speakers at the same time. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I suggest we all get together and do that. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
The video of that is actually in our Discord, so anyone could see that.
Are we allowed to tweet it?
I don't see why not.
Maybe I'll tweet it.
You can't identify anyone in it if that's what you...
No, I know, but I know we should check just in case. But I honestly, this sounds like the greatest day of all time. And again, I'm heading towards my 40s. I hope we're in there. I hope our live podcast is just after a birthday party is winding down. Do you know what I mean? Like a bunch of a 5-year-old's birthday party is winding down, and we're standing next to them with our microphones going, yeah, you only booked the room till 2. We're doing a live recording now.
I'm about to do feedback
all
section.
Red face because we've been playing Laser Quest for so long.
just take your cake and go. Just go.
Yeah. We got to do this, man. It sounds too good. Right, okay, so that's in the works as well. Should we get to what you've been playing this week?
Yes.
I'm going to surprise you, James. I'm going to surprise you, mate. I'm going to ask Sean to go first. How about that?
Okay.
How about that?
Did that last week, but okay.
Did we? Did you go first last week, Sean?
No,
Matt
don't
did,
remember.
but he didn't play anything, so we moved on to Sean. Go on, Sean, what have you been playing last week, man?
So this was one I played over Christmas and didn't mention last week. So this is only going to be a brief one. I played the Gunk, which...
I also played the Gunk over Christmas. I didn't finish it.
What is the Gunk?
The Gunk is... it's the one from, Image and Form, who do all the SteamWorld games. So SteamWorld Dig and Quest and all them, which are really good. But this was, as soon as we saw trailers for this, it was like, oh, this is like a huge departure. For one thing, it's not a SteamWorld game. It's also 3D, which none of their previous games have been. And, this was sort of quite prominent in one of the sort of Microsoft showcases. So this is a day one Game Pass thing. And it's a game where, it's like third person 3D game where I was going to say action game. There's not really a lot of action. It's mostly exploration and
zero action.
Basically, you have this thing on your hand that's like a vacuum, and you've landed on this alien planet, and you found that it's covered in this titular gunk, which.
Yeah, you're actively looking for a new type of fuel, aren't you?
And this gunk is
that's how you make your money.
It's either in your way, or it's like you think it might actively be sort of leaching from this power source that you're looking for. And that's kind of it. It's just lots of quite nice sort of little traversal puzzles. There'll be sections there's a lot of sort of pulling plants out of the ground, right? And it's some of them are explosives, and you picking one up from one place and then lobbing it at a obviously destructible wall elsewhere. Maybe it gets much more complicated later on. I found it all sort of fairly simplistic. But I did have a nice time with it because I thought it was just beautiful.
So, what does the Gunk do though? Does it not
a lot?
Just attack you or whatever?
Think the goo in Mario Sunshine, but instead of washing it away, you are sucking it up.
Yeah.
Then what do you do with it? Is it just gone then, or is it
just gone?
Use it for anything?
Out of your way.
Once you clear a whole area of gunk, then the whole area suddenly, it's a little bit like flour, right?
Yeah.
Where you complete an area and everything sprouts up and then becomes beautiful or whatever.
So this is like a polluting thing, like the Gunk.
Yes, it's very much a commentary on pollution.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. It was just interesting because it's a sort of inversion of what the developer normally do, right? Because normally they do games that systems wise are sort of really intricate and dense, but sort of visually I mean, they're all good-looking games, but, they're all like of a certain style and they're all 2D, whereas this is, clearly cost quite a bit more money. I think it looks beautiful. I think the soundtrack's gorgeous. There's like, sort of bits of chatter between, yourself and your partner who lives on the ship that you landed in. And like, I thought that was all, pretty entertaining, genuinely quite funny at times. But gameplay-wise, very little to it. I mean, on purpose, I think it's supposed to be quite chill, I think. I mean, how did you find it?
So there's not really like a threat then? Like, it's not...
Not really, there's a few bits...
Under pressure.
No, there are enemies. Yeah. There are enemies in there, but you don't really take them out like in seconds. Yeah. It's not... you never feel like you could die. It feels like if the enemies... I didn't get hit by any enemies, but if I did, it felt like it would just turn your screen red for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that would be it.
Pretty much.
I felt like it needed something more to keep me going, if I'm honest. I played about an hour and a half of it, and I said, this is okay, but it needs something here. And I think, it's funny because this week, I haven't got it on my list, but this week I've been playing a lot of Luigi's Mansion 2, because Harry picked up Luigi's Mansion Lego, and Charlie was like, I want to see some Luigi's Mansion then. So we've been playing that. And the core element of playing that game, beyond the beautiful animation, all the extra stuff that it does, like sucking things up in that game with your vacuum feels incredible, and that's largely down to how it feels when there's a big huge pile of money and then you're sucking it up in your vacuum cleaner. It feels amazing, right? Or if you suddenly get a bit of curtain caught up in your vacuum cleaner and you rip it off the wall, all that stuff feels great. Whereas this, actually hoovering up the gunk, just feels like it could be anything.
It's a bit of a
you
chore
could be doing
at times.
anything. Yeah, it doesn't feel, and you're like, okay, well, where's that last bit of gunk? There it is. Got it. Yeah. Okay, that's done. Like, there's no satisfaction in the actual game playing. So that's one thing. Secondly, it looks nice, but it doesn't look incredible enough to make me go, I want to see what the next area looks like. At no point was I thinking,
it's quite samey,
I want to see this next area. Yeah, very samey. And, I think, when take Flower, which is a game that I referenced earlier, when everything sprouts up in Flower, there's a genuine, like, whoa. And I'm pretty sure if you went back and played that now, you'd be like, what? but at the time, it was like, whoa, this
is a proper rush,
is really
wasn't it?
beautiful. Yeah. Whereas here, it's kind of like, things look nicer. And the puzzles weren't puzzly enough, and the action, the combat wasn't combating enough, and the script wasn't of a high standard enough. There were standout moments where you go, oh, I get this, and this works, and that was a really good line. But then there's a lot of back and forth where you're going, well, this feels kind of irrelevant and not very interesting to listen to. So it failed getting its hooks in me, and it was one of those games that I didn't mean to stop playing. I didn't say, right, that's it, I'm done with that. I just forgot I was playing it.
Yeah, it's just very easily usurped by basically anything else, isn't it?
So how long is it then? What sort of length is it?
I think it's only 4 to 5 hours, isn't it? It's not a long game. But I remember looking at my games and apps and seeing the Gunk on there and going, oh yeah, I started playing that. I got about an hour and a half in, and then why didn't I go back to it? And I guess that's it.
Yeah. And it's weird because
it just does nothing. It never excels in anything.
Yeah, I would really recommend giving it a look. But just prepare to get an hour or two in and probably feel a little bit done with it. I don't know.
Yeah. Another game it really reminded me of is Concrete Genie, right?
Oh, okay.
Concrete Genie was like a B-tier game that had some noticeable, some really good ideas here and there. But the thing with Concrete Genie is that by the end of doing what you were doing, things looked stunning. So although the gameplay wasn't up to scratch, although the script was a little bit weak, although some of the animation was a little bit janky, the hook was, look how fucking good this looks when you've painted the whole area.
That game,
look at it,
was so close to being really good. Like, it could have been.
I really liked it, but it's one of those games that you go, well, it's not on my Game of the Year list, and it's not a game that I'm tweeting about saying everyone has to play. It could have been that, with maybe a little bit more time, maybe a bigger budget or whatever, but it wasn't that, right? And I totally agree with you, James. This sits beneath that, I think, where there are likeable elements of it, but not enough to make me go, "Oh, I'm playing the Gunk. I can't wait to play the Gunk."
I heard a lot of
tonight.
people kind of refer to this as if it's like a 360 game, and it looks like it and sounds like it, and not in terms of graphically it's 360 quality graphics.
No,
but it's just one of those types of games where there was loads of them at that point, and it does a lot of things which are okay and nothing more.
Yeah, I think that's too damning because a 360
isn't it
game
a bit of a throwback
to me. Nah, I wouldn't say it's a throwback. Would you, Sean?
In terms of the traversal and stuff, like it's very like you're walking around. Oh, there's obviously a vine there for me to climb. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very sort of...
but those games still exist, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like, like you look at, say, Guardians of the Galaxy, there is very much a item that you use, or you send a specific person to cut those wires or
but then
smash that
felt
thing.
Even in Guardians of the Galaxy, those bits felt a little bit regressive, I thought. Like, they really... But then if it wasn't so obvious, it would just be annoying, wouldn't it? So...
I guess when I think of 360 game, I have a very distinct look and feel in my head, and I don't think it regresses that far back. No. But it's certainly got a very basic progression system in it, and that I think would be fine. And that's it. Everything would be fine if it had something to really, stand out with, but it doesn't have that.
It's a collection of quite good elements and some not great elements, and it's a weird one. It's a really weird one.
It's a weird one. It is a weird one. What else?
I've also played Windjammers 2.
We're very, very excited about this one.
I was very excited about this one. So, I mean, I played a bit of it on Switch. This has also come out on Game Pass. This is obviously the sequel to Windjammers, the arcade game from, I can't remember, I'm going to say early 90s, which is, it's essentially a, sports-esque game. It's two people lobbing a frisbee at each other, trying to, like, it's Pong, basically, isn't it? It's fucking Pong, that's what it is. But it's with people actually throwing a frisbee at each other, trying to hit the area behind each other and score points. But the original was very simple, but actually quite deep when you get into it, and it's, it encourages a lot of the same terminology and sort of thought processes as fighting games, right? Like, you're looking at guides on how to play it, and it's all, fucking cancels and negative edges and all that shit. And I always really liked the original because it's, as I say, it sort of encourages that sort of thought and that sort of, the joy of playing against other people, and sort of that feeling of being quite evenly matched with someone else and, getting a decent rally going. It just feels good. But without some of the, what some fighting game people are like, acting like they've actually learned a martial art or something, to sort of avoids all that, I find.
Oh, they like that?
Yeah. We know a few, don't we, Dave?
I know, Clarky.
So yeah, I was really excited that they were doing a new one, but obviously it's been a long time. Obviously, this is nowhere near, like, it's not the original developers doing it. This has come from .mu, and I am pleased to say they've done a fucking fantastic job. It's really good. They've added things, but without overcomplicating it. So they've added like a couple of extra moves. So you could always either like throw the disc normally, or you could lob it. So they've added more of like an aerial game to it now. So as well, like, when someone lobs the disc, you can sort of position yourself where it's going to land and catch it that way. Whereas now in Windjammers 2, you can also jump and grab it and then do like a downwards slam, stuff like that. There's new sort of arenas to play in. Like, generally speaking, most of the arenas are like, the sort of the scoring zone behind each player. There'll be like a 5-point zone in the middle and then a 3-point zone top and bottom, although it varies a bit by the arenas. And then, certain arenas, there'll be like obstacles in the middle that you can sort of, smash the disc against to sort of, like, it's all about trying to find weird angles, right, to send the disc and try and sort of confuse your opponent into, dashing the wrong way, or, trying to fuck up their ability to predict where the disc is going to go so they can intercept it. But then there's also like a casino arena, which is like Basically, rather than having like specific scoring zones, it's just every time a new disc comes out, like every round, it's got it's a little like poker chip, and it's got a different points value on it. So like you might have one rally where it's like, well, it's only a 1 pointer, not really that bothered, and then sometimes there'll be like an 8-point one, and you need 15 points to win a set. So, I mean, you'll never see that at tournament level. I imagine that'll be outlawed, but it's fucking good fun. Visually, it's gorgeous. They've gone for, I mean, obviously, the original was like, an older arcade game, so it's like, how do you update that without just sort of ruining it? And they've just gone fully in on like a really clean, vibrant sort of Saturday morning cartoon style. I think it works really well. Couple of complaints. For all I'll make fun of fighting games. Like the fighting game genre has made great strides in terms of like trying to get people involved, right? There's like the tutorials are like a million miles better than they used to be. Online play has become a big thing. Like Street Fighter allows you to have like a lobby with like a bunch of people in it, and then you're all sort of take it in turns to fight each other. This has none of that, right? This is very much like you're playing it, you're like, oh, this is an arcade game that happens to have online play. But then the online play is very much, there's ranked mode, friendly mode, and then you can play with friends, but it's literally just you invite one friend in and you play against each other until you decide not to anymore. There's no way to just like, right, well, there's 6 of us, let's all get in the same room and do winner stays on, because that's what we used to do, like with the arcade. I say used to, not like back in the day, I'm talking like 2-3 years ago, but we just, like at loading bar or whatever, we just put Windjammers on and just do winner stays on all evening, and it was really good. So it's a real shame that that's not in the game, and not to be like, oh, why don't you just add this one thing that I want, not to be that guy, but you sort of think like, well, the netcode is absolutely spot on, right? And you would think that would be the hard bit to get right. If they can get a lobby mode in further down the line, that would be amazing. And yeah, the tutorials are basically non-existent. The tutorial is like, these are the buttons. And even they're not explained particularly well. Obviously, this being the sort of game it is, the community is already picking that up, and people are doing like really comprehensive tutorials. There's a really good Twitter thread on some of the, not even the finer points of it, just like, look, here's the basic things you sort of need to learn about, like positioning and stuff, and the way that like supers work and stuff like that. Bad habits that new players get into, you should try and get out of. But do you know what I mean? That stuff all could have been in the game, because it's clearly well designed enough that the developers like knew all this stuff. They just haven't explained any of it in the game, which is a shame.
I think the
is that on purpose?
Stuff it
might be, because again, it very much feels in the spirit of like,
to let people explore,
and how in the spirit of like how arcade games were. Like, yeah, you would get a button guide, like here's what the buttons do, and that's it. Like the rest was for the community to figure out.
Well, I think if I'm being generous, I would say that they've looked at, say, Rocket League, and that's exactly how the community was built initially.
Yeah.
It was all YouTube videos, YouTubers saying, here's how you play Rocket League. Like, these are the important things. Here's, there was a massive YouTube community built up around that. Sunless Khan doing his videos and stuff. And so there is a benefit to that, not having that in the game, especially for this type of game.
Yeah.
Where it's like, actually, things seem quite simple to start with, but there's a skill, there's the skill ceiling's high. So you need to go and discover how you're supposed to really play this game. So, I kind of get that, and that's being generous and saying they've considered that, not just left it out.
It's definitely an intentional decision. I wonder if it puts
but the other
off
stuff
more
isn't,
people.
right? So the way, because I mean, if we're sticking with the Rocket League comparison, Rocket League very much from day one had the basics of how people want to play that game online down. That was instantly, yes, if I'm playing with my mates, I want to be in a party and I want to stick together and I want to be able to access games over and over and over again. Or if I want to do just games with my mates, that's an option as well. So if they've failed at that side of things. You can only hope that they're going to learn that lesson and improve it.
Do you think they will, though? Like, is this big enough for them to keep on, like,
well, it depends, doesn't it? I think they've given themselves a good shout by putting it on Game Pass.
I think that'll definitely help.
That then goes from, that goes from, do I really want to buy this game, to, like, it was, again, Rocket League, the major success of that was putting it on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
Because everyone had a PS4. No one had anything to play on it because it was quite early on. And all of a sudden, there's a car football game on there. Brilliant.
I know, but the difference now is there's loads of choice. I mean, remember what happened with that dodgeball game? It's like that came out. Was that on Game Pass?
That's true. That's true. It was on EA Access. There was a 10-hour trial on it, wasn't there? Right. I can't remember.
It was on Game Pass.
It just seems now
it's other platforms. There was a short trial. But
it just seems now it's harder and harder to like launch something like this. I think, even though you've got, with this you've got name recognition, like with like a group of people or whatever. But then it's still really difficult, I think, to build a community.
Still a very small audience, compared to it's true.
But fingers crossed it gets enough traction for that sort of ongoing support to be worth it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if you played and enjoyed the original and you have a situation where you can play it with other people in real life, like, you've got to check this out. It's so good. But it's just a shame that it's never going to be one of those where like a bunch of us will have an evening on it online, because there's just no facility to do that. I mean, I suppose you could all just sit in a chat party and then like one person quits and then invite someone else, but it's a faff, isn't it?
It's a shame.
It is a shame.
I think.
But fingers crossed. That's something they can add later on. I'll rejig my next two because I know, Matt, you've played one of these, so I'll quickly do Real VR Fishing. Which
is this an Oculus game?
This is it's a meta game. James, come on.
Sorry. No, I thought it was Oculus by Meta.
I've no
or
idea.
Is it not?
It seems to vary. So.
No, the headset, it's called Meta Quest now.
Oh, sorry, Meta Quest. That's it.
But then I have just been given a discount code by the store, which is Oculus 30 to get 30% off my next purchase. So, hey ho. Real VR Fishing. I mean, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a fishing game. You can play it online with your mates. It's yet another one of these where, like, it's like Walkabout Mini Golf, which is amazing, but like, the game itself is almost by the by. It's just how it facilitates you having a nice time with your friends.
Sure.
Yep.
Do you sit in a boat?
So good to me.
Do you sit in a boat?
There are areas where you sit in a boat and you look left and right.
Can you navigate that boat?
You can't navigate the boat. It's very much, you just sat in one place, and if you look left and right, all your mates are in their own little boats.
Can we stream this?
Yeah, we could all play this, surely.
Yeah, man, 100%.
How many players is it?
We've done up to 4. I don't know if it goes higher than that.
Oh my god, let's do this.
It's fucking mint.
Let's
honestly,
do this. How much is it?
It's like 14 quid, I think.
Oh, fuck off.
Is it on Game Pass? No, sorry.
No, let's do this. Can you imagine the 4 of us going out fishing?
That'd be
brilliant.
We
should absolutely do it.
They wouldn't. It'd be really boring, but I'm sure we can make it fun.
No, it won't. Honestly, it was great.
Man.
Like, we had such a nice time.
Does it work on the old ones?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, fucking hell. Right, let me have a look.
Was this one of those games that Mark Zuckerberg got really excited about?
Probably.
That got him through lockdown?
This sort of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he works on the original Quest, David.
Oh, it does?
Oh, here we go.
Mate, let's do it.
Matt, you work in that field. You could get me something, can't you?
Just plug him in.
Just hook us up. Yeah, that's fine.
You sort us out. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's just a good fishing game. And you chat with your mates. You can also bring up like a little web browser window just in your field of view. So you can just...
Oh man, we could have like a proper 40 to 50 years old day out. We could go fishing during the day and then play poker in the evening.
Bit of mini golf.
How good does that sound?
It's got sharks in it.
Yeah, man.
I think we should play this.
Really should.
Yeah, well, good. Well, if James is in. James has suggested it. I
want to pull a shark out of the water.
I mean, this game really knows itself.
You're going to say you want to pull a shark off then. Go on.
Yeah, I think that's in the DLC. This game really knows itself. It says, like, on the Quest store, it says, watch YouTube, listen to music or podcasts in-game while fishing and never be bored.
Which is to suggest
even realises,
the game is boring.
It's about the other stuff as well. Love that.
Okay, that sounds amazing. All right, okay, put that on the stream list. What else?
So the main one I've been playing is Nobody Saves the World, which is came out on Game Pass. It's probably out on other things. So I know this has been yet another Game Pass loving. It's just that when you do a podcast, it's a very good source of things to talk about
for content. I'll say this: I've never heard of this, and I've just Googled it. And there's a headline that says "Nobody Saves the World succeeds where Balan Wonderworld fails."
I mean,
this is Drinkbox, isn't it? That did Guacamelee.
It is, yeah.
Guacamelee devs. I mean, it's a very different game to that. This is like a top-down sort of action RPG. Running around. There's like an overworld where you're sort of talking to characters, getting quests and stuff, and then there are dungeons that you go into, which are sort of a bit randomized. Killing enemies, fight a boss, get some loot, level up, like all fairly standard stuff. But you're like a shapeshifter, right? You're this guy. You are Nobody, capital N, Nobody, who's just this sort of little white guy with like no eyes, and he looks a bit weird. And he gets a magic wand and can transform into other forms. And like the first one, you can transform into as a rat. And you sort of think, oh well, this is kind of shit, but whatever. I guess I'll work my way up. And then you unlock, like a warrior and a ranger, and you're like, okay, this is pretty standard fantasy stuff. Like, I know what I'm doing. And then you get like a slug and a ghost and
a horse,
and a turtle, and all these other forms. Which initially, almost every single form you unlock, it pulls this great sort of tiny little arc with every single form you unlock. That every time you choose a new one, you're like, this is shit. Why would I use this over my favourites? It's clearly bollocks. Oh, I've got a magician. He can kind of like hold cards out, and that damages people a bit. This is wank. And then about 10 minutes later, you've leveled them up a bit, and you've got more of their abilities, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to play as anyone else ever again. I want to be the turtle for the rest of the fucking game. I want to be the egg. You can be an egg. And you can, and it gets more abilities, and you're like, man, the egg's fucking brilliant. The egg's overpowered as fuck. And then you get a bit further in, and you can start taking abilities from one form to another. So like the slug has one ability, for example, where it can sort of slide around and like leave this massive slug trail everywhere it goes that slows enemies down. So you can give that to the warrior as well. So the warrior can sort of slide around and leave a trail of shit everywhere, and then just go around picking off enemies because they're slowed down loads. Or you can have you can sort of start assembling sort of really cool combinations of. So say you've got say like the slug trail one, and then you could get like an ability from another class that's like, you deal like more critical or more damage on critical hits when you hit an enemy that's got a status effect applied to it. And then you might get an ability from another class that's like, oh, when you land a critical hit, like, there's like a 30% of the damage you dealt also heals you. And you're piecing together like these sort of nice little combinations from different forms to, that sort of create these synergies and allow you to do stuff that's like a few levels above what you're supposed to be able to do. And it's interesting as fuck. I really love it. Matt, you've been playing it as well. How have you been getting on with it?
Yeah, I'm only about 2 or 3 hours in, so I don't think I'm not as far as you. I've basically got to the horse form.
Oh yeah.
I've been trying to find something to play recently, and I haven't really found anything. But I obviously loved Guacamelee 1 and 2. I know this is a totally different style of game, but I wanted to give it a go, and it's been a perfect game to play because it's just immensely satisfying. Like, combat's immensely satisfying. You're unlocking things, it feels like every 5 minutes maximum, really. So you're always either on the way to finishing a quest, and you have tons and tons and tons of quests at any one time, and they could be, if you're the archer, it's like kill like 10 or 15 enemies with a charged up bow, or you can have. I think I've up to say 15 quests at any one time. They're based on the various different classes, various different forms, and so you're never more than a few minutes away from actually completing something. The combat is fun. It's not challenging yet, and it's satisfying, and it's just kind of the perfect kind of comfort game for me at the moment. I'm not too concerned with the story. It seems fine. It's a gorgeous looking game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still got that same kind of graphical style that looks so good in Guacamelee, but like they really amp the detail up and like the colors really, really, really pop. So yeah, the visuals are really, really, really nice, and it's just an immensely comforting, satisfying game to play without. It's not really challenging me in any of the ways, story wise or combat wise. But I'm fine with that, and I've completed some challenges, some quests. I've got a new form, learned that, play that, now loving that, and then 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, I've got another form, and the way it kind of keeps rewarding you every few minutes or so is enough to just keep you playing and playing, and so I'm really, really enjoying it so far.
Can I just ask? Is like the whole game combat based basically, or is there any sort of like puzzly kind of elements to this, or is the challenge mostly, or the quest, is it mostly all just combat based?
It's pretty much just combat, yeah. I mean, I've done a few dungeons where it's like, here is a locked gate, go and find the key. But of course, you just fight some guys and then you find a key and then that's it.
Excellent.
So I suppose
other ones like you find these like fairies, and it's like, hey, your quest now is to find 15 of these fairies around the overworld, or maybe inside dungeons as well. But no, pretty much every quest, and you might have like 5 or 10 on your screen or in your list of quests, and then you'll complete them, and then they'll be like, okay, level 2 ones for the archer, level 3 ones for the archer, or kill another 50, another 100. And so you're never without tons of quests, to go through. So you can play it just by really focusing on the quests, and ultimately by completing the quests, they give you like I can't remember the currency to unlock the doors. Is it stars, Sean?
Oh yeah.
So you can earn stars and a bunch of doors and dungeons we need a certain number of stars to complete. So again, complete the quests, that ultimately means you can get through the game quicker. Complete the quests also gives you XP and also helps you unlock further abilities for each of these forms. So when you unlock the form, you have like what you change into, so it could be a rat, and you have the first ability, and you also have a passive ability. But as you play more and upgrade more, you basically go from like F grade up to, I don't know what it goes. It goes like F,
I think
E,
it stops at
D,
A,
C,
sure,
B, etc. And then you get better passive abilities. You get more abilities as well. So yeah, it's constantly throwing things at you, and you could spend hours really just like perfecting, upgrading one particular form. Let alone, I don't know how many forms there are, but it's basically what looks like a massive skill tree of forms to unlock. And it's just been kind of turn my brain off. Fun, comfort gaming.
We'll turn our brain off, lid.
Yeah, it's probably good, and it's really cool.
That stuck out to me.
Like, it's really good how like you say, those quests essentially serve as like a little tutorial, like for each form.
Yeah.
In that it's sort of like, right, use this one ability to kill baddies. Okay, you've got that. Now you've got this new ability. Also try this out, and then when you start like mixing up classes, you'll get new quests. I keep saying class. I keep mixing up classes and forms. Just assume I'm talking about the same thing. It'll start. So you'll go back to playing as the rat, and it'll be like, right, now try putting like the ranger's poison ability on top of, the rat's normal stuff, and so there'll be a quest for that, and it's like, right, okay, so it gives you ideas about how you can mix up the abilities, which I think is really smart.
But I mean, they are basically classes, aren't they? These forms, and you can also like change them on the fly by holding down the right button or whatever it is. So, I really enjoyed the ranger because I like that ranged weapon, but also the rat can move through small spaces and is really fast. So, I would often find myself going from ranger, quickly hold down RB, switch to the other class, and you can have, there's like a wheel which you can quick select a bunch of different classes, but it's just really fun switching from one to the other depending on the combat scenario, depending on what kind of enemies you're facing, if you're into a boss battle or what. But it's really good so far. I mean, I'd say what I loved about Guacamelee was also I thought the humour was really good in Guacamelee. The writing seemed really sharp. I don't think this quite has the same like humour, at least not yet. I'm sure that no doubt that'll change. It kind of feels, even in like the 3 hours I played it doesn't quite feel the same levels of Guacamelee, just generally overall quality wise. But I'm really happy with it just being a comfort game for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's it from me.
All right.
Recommend it.
Matt, you can continue.
Well, I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 14.
Ooh.
again, I've been desperately searching for something to play that I can. That I want to play. I've struggled
what
recently.
Is this? What's final? What is this one?
It's an MMO.
Is this? Yeah. Oh, it's an MMO one. And is it just come out, or has it been out for a while?
No, it's like 10 years old, I think.
Yeah, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, famously, it was shite when it first came out, and they killed it off, and then brought it back a year later and sort of fixed it, and
they completely redid bits, didn't they? And it was a total mess.
It's like it's like written into the story as well. Like the world ended. And then, like, it's like now in the game's story that's like, oh yeah, all these heroes like sort of tried to avert this cataclysm and kind of did, but not really, and everything's sort of been rebuilt since. It's quite cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what are you making of it, Matt?
I don't see me sticking with this because there's obviously loads of other games coming out. But what I want to ask, I've heard so many people just say how good the story is on this. I mean, Sarah mentioned it, like Siam, Joshua Garrity, even like people like Jason Schreier. Loads of people said, "My God, like the story of this is unbelievable." And chances are, I'm not going to get to all the story because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, and lots of people said, "Hey, you need to get to like the 20-hour mark before it really starts getting good." I know everyone's like raving about the most recent update. Was it Shadow? I'm really going back.
Shadowbringers, I think.
Shadowbringers or something. And then they've had two others in the past which people have also raved about. But ever since I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, I've just wanted that again. I've wanted more Final Fantasy. I haven't played the original, so maybe I can go there, but that hasn't really done enough to make me want to go and play like the old school Final Fantasy. I just want something like that again. And everyone's talking about the story of this being so good. I've never played an MMO. I was like, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to download this and see what this is like. And I've only had one evening on it, and maybe I won't even go back. But again, it was kind of comforting because I played for 2 or 3 hours, and all I did was do all these like random quests in the local area. It just feels like such an alien world to me because I've never played an MMO. So I'm like, oh, hang, so these are all like real people in this area. The areas, the initial areas at least of the server I'm on, are absolutely massive. So it really did feel like going to a foreign country in almost every way.
Did you chat to anyone?
No, God no.
What's the fucking point?
Well, because I was just playing the game on my own. I wasn't doing a raid or anything. I didn't need to talk to real people. They're all doing their own thing. I'm doing my own thing.
You just go, hello, I'm new. All right. Isn't that the point of MMOs?
I think you can play like that, but I think what everyone raving about this is the fact that you can do it on your own and enjoy it for like an amazing single player experience, even though it's part of a larger MMO. So I didn't feel the need to get the mic out and say, "Hello, everyone."
No, you don't need to get the mic out. Doesn't it have a quick chat system?
It probably does. I wasn't really interested in that. I just wanted to like.
I mean, are you playing an MMO then?
I ignore the fuck out of other people when I play this sort of thing.
Really?
Yeah. Like if you're going to actually
do
like
or something, maybe, or playing with friends
or something, but otherwise,
You're not looking for group or anything like that.
Not LFG.
I was not looking for group. No, I was just looking to do my side, my little missions, and yeah. But it is really really fun just being in what felt like a totally alien world to me. Not just like a new game; it's like a new style of game, and it looked great. The story, obviously, I'm incredibly early on. 1 million words, 1 million names, 1 million locations are being thrown at me. I don't know what's happening there, but for one evening, I was just really happy just to get through the incredibly complicated UI, do a bunch of side missions, and go on. I'm not sure if I'll go back to it. I didn't dislike it. I enjoyed it actually, but. I'm not sure I'm really in a position right now to commit to an MMO.
That's the
even
thing.
Even if I wasn't doing a weekly podcast, even if I didn't have loads of games coming out soon, I'm not sure I would.
Imagine if you got fully into this and then every week it's all you talk about.
Oh, fucking hell. Could you imagine
that's going to happen? MMO Corner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking to anyone, Matt? No.
I did the same thing. I don't know, about a year ago, 18 months ago, can't remember, but yeah, it was the same thing. I was just like, do you know what? People will not shut up about it. I need to see what this is about. And like, plenty of people have said like, you can basically play it as like a single player game up to a certain point. Like obviously I'll never do raids and stuff, but like story wise, you can pretty much just play it on your own and enjoy it. And I don't know, like I had a couple of good weeks on it, and then just, other stuff came out and I wanted to sort of play a few other things. And And then it was like, right, you've had your first month, £10. I was like, I haven't even played it for 2 weeks. What's
the combat?
It's just like standard MMO stuff, pretty much, like targeting enemies, activating abilities, waiting for cooldowns.
Okay. Yeah.
That sort of thing. I mean, it's fine. And like it does a good job of sort of explaining the sort of, roles of different classes. You'll get like little AI helpers in certain missions and stuff. And sort of explains, how to sort of work alongside them. But because I gather the base game, like this, like you say, Matt, it sort of takes you about 20 hours to get through the sort of the base story, and apparently that's when things get interesting. And again,
I think
I'm just
one
like,
of them's called Heaven's Sword, and then there's like Realm. Oh God, I'm embarrassed myself. Was it Realm Reborn? Realm something.
Realm Reborn is the name of the sort of the re-release.
Yeah. I just wanted something. I just wanted to see what it is. I've never even looked at a screenshot before, so I was like, how does this game even work? What does it even look like? So, no, I for one evening, I was like totally transported to a new place, and I really loved it. So we'll see if I go back.
Second Life still going. Let's do that for a night.
It's still going.
Probably having a resurgence, actually.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. James is on
there were plenty of
non-stop.
other games I could be dedicating more, time to things like Destiny or, Halo or... FIFA or Rocket League or whatever. But for one night, I was like, I'm just going to do this. I need something comforting. I need something where it's just me trying to learn. Why don't you
play with us?
I said I need something comforting. And,
it is comforting. It's a right laugh when we play. We're back into Rocket League at the moment, of course. I don't know why we play anything else. But, I mean, look, you're going to... I mentioned that we're going to do a Pro Clubs night. Are you going to join us for that at least?
Yeah. I do want to. Yeah.
Do you though? Because it sounds like you don't.
I do. I'm just in a weird place at the moment. I'm just getting very angry at random things. But
that's what's great about Pro Clubs. You can get angry at everyone screams at each other throughout the night at that, and at the end of it, we're all pissing ourselves with laughter. Slush, you're playing, aren't you?
So I was just cleaning my glasses.
James.
I was cleaning my glasses at the moment.
James, you know that's your nickname on our football team.
I know. Yeah.
You'll play, won't you?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Come on. Come on. Let's do it. I miss you guys playing with us. You play for us one night and then that's it. Get on Halo again. That's fun.
What was it one night?
Halo was like 3 nights. FIFA was definitely one night.
How was it 3? It was like 3 weeks
it was
plus.
But FIFA was one night. And that was very disappointing.
It was way more than one night.
It was more than one night. I mean, I played it at least 3 or 4 times.
Even James was playing more than one night.
Yeah.
James never played.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Anyway, we've got to play more games together. So that's all you've been playing, Matt, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit of Final Fantasy and Nobody Saves the World. And I tweeted the other day about looking at the gaming calendar and all the things that are coming out that I'm looking forward to. And my God, there's so much. And even now, like in recent days... reports now actually this new Pokemon game is all right, and
I've got zero interest in Pokemon.
Laura K. Dale did a great thread because it's been leaked and like review code has been weird going to certain outlets and Laura did a great thread and I was like, okay, this actually sounds good.
It does.
This looks good.
No, because they were like
maybe that's worth picking up.
Wasn't she saying it's all like kind of like Breath of the Wild sort of style in a sense, but with Monster Hunter and all sorts of stuff. And
open world and all it. I don't know. Maybe I might give this another go. Maybe it's another Pokemon game. I'll give it a go. But there's just
I'm trying to teach myself to say, look, you're not into that, so you don't have to play it. Like I'm trying to teach myself because
I've done that with Pokemon because I've tried to get into that game so many times and I just don't care enough every time. Yeah. It's just
there's still that bit at the back of your head going, but maybe this is the one. That is for me. After I read that thread, I was like, oh, maybe this is the one now. But I need to just calm myself down. Chances are, if it is amazing and everyone's talking about it, Harry will want it at some point.
I was going to say, because your kids aren't playing it. Are they not into Pokemon, no?
Asher is massively.
Charlie is. Yeah. Charlie is. Harry isn't. How weird is that?
See, Asher's massively
Charlie's got, like, Pokemon stuff.
But he only just recently got some, Pokemon Diamond or whatever, the remake of that recently, so I don't think he wants another one immediately.
Fair enough.
James, that is directly coming from you. All kids want the latest thing that's coming out for the thing that they like.
Well,
interpreted his wishes
the
thusly.
Old one. Yeah.
He can finish that first, and when he's shown me proof that he's finished it, then he can.
James is like, right, I'm just going to verify you didn't download this save from the internet.
I want to see a screenshot of the final cutscene and the credits before you get anything.
And then I will buy you the new one. Yeah. James, what have you been playing?
The only thing I played this week is Skyward Sword, which I finished.
Nice.
And I finished it. I finished it a couple of days after we finished recording, and I don't really have a huge amount to add over what I had already said about it, apart from the fact that the ending to the game is very underwhelming. I felt like the final bosses that you fight. No, it's not difficult. Like there's ones earlier in the game which are more difficult than the ones at the end, and I never did get used to the controls. Like I mean, it took me about 35 hours to finish this game, and I was still like occasionally I had to keep looking down to like be like, "What? Hang on, what am I pressing to do this?" The controls are so messed up in that game, and it's the main problem with it is. Yeah,
such a shame.
It is a massive shame. But then, I mean, overall I did really, really enjoy it. I thought it was great. But then it is also really clear from this game why Breath of the Wild happened, in the sense that the series really needed to move on from the structure in this game. You know, of basically just sort of repeating stuff that had come before, and it's so much better for it. Like there's little bits there that you're just thinking, there's something they could do with this, but. It doesn't go anywhere. I mean, the thing that I was most disappointed about was the stuff in the Skyloft, like how you got this bird that you're flying around, and it's pretty much pointless. Like, there's no point to it at all. Like the what's it called, the ship in Wind Waker is more interesting, because of the fact you can go like treasure hunting.
Most
and stuff
bits
like
were
that.
Shit as well.
Yeah, I know.
I never got that.
Yeah,
I never got the people saying, "Oh, it's the feeling of the." It just was so tedious, wasn't it? The ship
and
stuff.
You see, and that was always the big problem. Really, I always felt with the Zelda games is that the overworld was never really that interesting, was it? Because there was not really much there to do, and that's what they absolutely transformed with Breath of the Wild and just made it brilliant. Like just getting around. I mean,
fantastic. Harry's playing Breath of the Wild. He's got to Kokoriko Village. Mm-hmm. He did all of the shrines on it, like the starting shrines on his own.
Yeah.
He's working it all out, and it's great just seeing.
It's amazing. Isn't it?
I'm worried there's bits in it that are way above his skill level, like way above it. But I'm hoping he somehow gets he'll figure
it out, because that's what Asher did. Because when he started it, I was like, there's no way he's going to finish this, and he finished the whole game, and he's done 112 shrines. Like he's really close to doing all of them. Like he's done way more of them than I've done, and it's a really good game, I think, at teaching like how to play. It's great.
Yeah, he's loving it at the moment. And he was saying, like, do I get better weapons later? I was like, yeah. And I picked him up from school on Friday, I think it was, and he just went, in art, I did a wicked drawing of a blood moon. It's funny. It's funny because there's so much of that game that I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
Like the blood moon, like the fact that the jump button was on Y or the top button, whatever that is on the thing, X, I think it is, instead of A. There's loads of stuff in that game that you kind of forget.
Do you know the worst? Okay, not the worst thing, because it is kind of nice. Is like Asher has been constantly asking me lore questions all the time about
really?
it. Yeah, all the time. He's asking me questions about the lore. Yeah, it's He's like, I'm going to.
Yeah, but he was. Actually, the first few questions Harry was asking was like, what are those weird things with the lasers that they're sort of stuck in the ground and with the lasers? And I was like, well, you'll find out about it, but I'll tell you now, there was a big battle and those completely wiped out the whole place. And the ones that you've seen are kind of destroyed, but they're still active, and you don't try and just avoid them at the moment. So much of that game that I remember is like I've forgotten, because, that stuff all becomes a bit irrelevant when you're running around the place just not giving a shit about whatever enemy you find, apart from those dudes that are half horse, half man. Yeah. The only ones that I still had a little bit of it. I don't think I killed one of those
really
in the 100 odd hours that I played it.
No, they were tough. Yeah. They were like, you need loads of potions and all sorts of stuff just to get through them.
Yeah.
They're difficult.
Do you ever just catch yourself remembering that there were big fucking dragons in the sky?
Yeah.
No, because when I played it the other day, when I booted it up the other day, like for the first time, I went to my old save, I started wandering about, and there was one in the sky, and I was like, oh my God, yes. The first time you saw one of them, and the music came up and everything. Oh, just such a glorious game.
And that's the thing, like playing this, it was really good, but then it also shows you just like how far ahead like Breath of the Wild is.
Yeah.
And then you just think it's got to come out the sequel this year, please. Like, can we have more?
But it's just, I just worry about how, because the biggest disappointment was how it looked. And
it was
you're right, Matt, what you
that
said
bad.
last week, it never looked great. But now it looks pretty shocking.
Yeah,
James.
well, would you not? I would rather it's delayed and properly sung on a new hardware that really did it justice than eking out the last remnants of what the Switch can do and it's suffering for that.
Bring it out on PS5.
Yeah, put it on Game Pass.
Why not?
Yeah, Game Pass.
Yeah,
Game Pass day one.
Pass.
Yeah,
yeah, fuck it.
Fodder.
So the games I've been playing this week, very quick mentions. I started Rainbow Six Extraction.
Oh yeah,
I've only heard bad stuff about this.
I've only played about an hour's of it. No, it's not as bad as people are saying. It's really not. Like, it feels like Rainbow Six. Like the core shooting in that game is still good, and it transfers to this. Right?
It's funny you've heard bad stuff, James, because I've heard no stuff about it.
Really?
Oh, really?
It came out, and I've heard no one on timeline talking about it. Just nothing.
Well, look. Here's my experience of it, and it's terrible. I've only put an hour into it, and we did a few things, and we come away feeling cold. But there's a reason. We all got into a party and said, "Let's try Rainbow Six Extraction." So we booted up the game, and it said, "You've got to do a tutorial before you start playing it." And we all went, "Oh, fuck's sake!"
It's the worst.
Like,
why do people do that for multiplayer games?
Yeah, we all want to just jump into a game together. Like, we've got limited time. We don't want to be sitting there doing the tutorial on our own. So we found out that if you die, you can exit out of it and get straight into the game. Right? So we did that. And then when we were in the game, we were like, we don't know what we're supposed to be doing. So we were like, kind of like, this is stupid. We wish it. And I just kind of wish that a game like this took that into consideration. That chances are, when you're booting this up for the first time, you're in a party chat with people that want to play it for the first time. So why don't you let people like link up and do the tutorial together?
Yeah, that's essential. The amount of
Why
times
is that
when
not a
we
thing?
play games and I'm like, hey, before I start this or before we play tonight, if it is, do I have to go for a tutorial first? And like, like,
yeah,
we
there's a
said that
10-minute
so
tutorial.
many
Do that.
times.
Yeah.
or like I'm not saying this is like easy to do, but I'm sure there have been multiplayer games that teach you as you play your first game, regardless of whether you're with other people. Like, it'll just say, like, you know, okay, this is this game type, like, you know, this is your objective, blah blah blah, like, and they'll sort of, you know, context sensitive sort of little prompts and stuff.
Yeah,
like, I'm sure games have done that before.
Yeah, well, so many games don't. Yeah, as you say, Matt, the amount of times a new game comes out and our WhatsApp group goes, is there a tutorial? Oh, yeah, playing tonight, make sure you get the 20-minute tutorial done. Like, Apex Legends did that. And it was like...
Not really necessary.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, just...
Play Titanfall.
Like, let's get together. Well, but even then, let's get together and do like a co-op tutorial.
Yeah.
Surely that's the way to do it. And I'm sure that if you've got one player that's been playing it for ages and a mate's joining for the first time, it doesn't matter. You'd go, I'll do the tutorial with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why not?
Yeah.
I'll just run through the tutorial with you. So, because at
even
least we're
like
doing
FIFA
something together and I can explain things while we're doing it. What's that?
Even like when there's a new FIFA, like, oh yeah, when you turn it on, there's a couple of cutscenes to skip, and then you got to play a bit of this like match, like Man City versus Bayern Munich. But you can pause it and exit, then get to the menu, then you can join the club. It's like,
yeah, that's not too bad though, because you're not learning. I mean, it's a little bit more straightforward, isn't it? FIFA, like, whereas this, so the way it works is that there's a level, you enter a level, there's 3 areas, and in each area you're given a random card which has an objective. So at the start of the game, it shows you 3 cards.
Oh no!
Literally, James, you can forget the card element of it. It might as well just come up. You know, like when you start a game of Halo and it says, you know, oddball. Yeah, it might as well do that, right? So that card element is just a visual representation of them randomizing what your objectives are in each hub of the level, right? So some of them are like, you've got to locate a certain amount of terminals in a certain amount of time. Some of them are, you've got to defeat some enemies to attract the boss, but then don't kill the boss. You've got to sort of lead them to an extract point so they can be captured and taken away. Some of them are kill a boss. Some of them are there was another one where you had to sneak up on nests and sort of take a sample for them, but if the nests become agitated, then you're not able to take that sample. And if you run out of nests, if you shoot too many of them or they become too agitated or whatever, then you foul that. So you can foul an objective and move on to the next area. But we were trying to work out what each objective is, and obviously we should have played the tutorial to give some idea of that, so we knew what we were doing.
This is also only 3-player, right?
It's only 3-player. But the other thing, there's a lot of like stuff where it's slowing down the whole process. Like, so between each area, you enter an airlock, which there's a terminal in the airlock, and all three of you have to press the terminal for the door to drop and then the next door to open. So it's a bit like a safe house in a Left 4 Dead game, right? But it feels like you're in that fucking airlock for ages, waiting for the animation of the door going down. There's some voiceover stuff. It takes a little while, and then the next door opens. And when we were playing it, I was just like, why is this bit taking so long? We're not doing anything. We're just standing waiting for the door to open. It makes no sense to me, that. So I can see some problems there. But what I want to do is really give it a go when people know what they're doing and see if there are any, benefits. It's got some interesting ideas, like if one of you dies, so it's operators like it is in Rainbow Six Siege. If one of your operators dies, they're missing in action, and you've got to wait a certain amount of rounds before you can select that operator again. Or if they die, you can pick them up and take them to an extraction zone for the player, and that means that they can choose them on the next attempt or whatever. So it's got little bits and pieces like that look cool. It's got all the gadget stuff that you'd expect from Rainbow Six games at this point. And the shooting feels okay. The guns feel great. So maybe once we know what we're doing, we might get some fun out of it. I don't see... well, I'm in the position to talk about this gameplay based on downloading it on Game Pass. Whereas they're selling this game on the PlayStation, and people buying this game, I'm already getting red flags of going, fucking hell, you're selling this like at a full price. Yeah?
Well, no, I saw it the other day, actually. It's not full price. It was like 38 quid in Asda the other day.
Still
so
38 quid.
Days on sale. But yeah.
Yeah, I look at that and just go...
That's nearly half price for PlayStation.
Yeah, it's almost half standard RRP.
That's true. That is true. I don't know. I mean, I reserve judgment. I haven't played enough of it. From what I've played so far, I don't think it's as bad as people are saying. However, I like to play it once I know what I'm doing. But you're saying
it's not really worth your time either.
There's any sort of reason to go back to it, You written it off already, have you, James?
Well, it's 3-player only, so I'm never going to play it with my people, am I? So.
Okay. Yeah, you just sound okay. The other game that I played, another Game Pass game, is Unpacking.
Oh yeah,
you've probably heard a lot of this game over the past years. Some people adored it. It's a game where you look at like a diaphragm of a diaphragm. Is that the right word?
No.
Diagram.
It's not, is it? Diaphragm's a naughty word, isn't it?
No.
Well, it's a body.
Yes, but
it's part of a body.
Chest.
Isn't it a chest area?
Oh, that's all right then. I thought it was like something to do. Okay. What am I thinking of?
Diagram?
Penis?
No, when the little scaled down sort of...
Diorama.
Diorama, yeah.
Diorama, that's it. Diaphragm, what a twat. Who's the thick one, guys? It's like a little pixelated 2D diorama of a room. Like it starts off with just one room. You've got a bunch of boxes. You click on the boxes, you take things out, and you place those items around the room. There's talk of, I'm already seeing it, of a narrative playing out as you go from say a kid's room up to a teenager's room, up to a flat share, up to clearly you've met someone and you're moving in with them. It's got a narrative behind what you're unpacking. There are items that you recognise from when you were a kid as you're unpacking them as an adult and stuff like that. So it does all that stuff really well. It looks quite nice in places. It's really strange. It's a game where I think, I see the benefits of this. I see why so many people like it, because it is quite relaxing. It is quite fun to put things away in the right places or whatever. But there are two problems that I have with it. The first being, when you start a new level, you know there's going to be more rooms, more boxes, and it just, like, it makes you go, there's just so much. There's so much to put away, and this is actually getting dull now, right? When you're in a situation where you're opening up your drawer, and you've got underwear individually rolled, so you will click on the box, get a piece of underwear, put it in the drawer, click on a box, get a piece of underwear, put it on a drawer, literally about 14 times. Like, that's not an exaggeration. Like, each piece of underwear comes out as one, and you put it in the drawer as one, and then you go back the same drawer over and over and over again. And I go, the thought of doing that again is fucking putting me off playing this anymore. There's also an issue where the pixel art looks great in places, it looks terrible in other places. So you'll pull something out and go, I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that's supposed to be. So you put it to a side, and the idea is, once you've unpacked everything, it will highlight things that are not in the right place.
Yeah.
And I just kind of think, why? Like, what's the benefit of that?
What do you mean?
Like, what is the benefit of that? So you unpack everything, you put everything where you want. Why has it got to be that this item belongs in this room?
Because because it's encouraging you to put things away properly and put things in the right room.
Okay, but how about you let the player just put what they want? Because there are some items in there where you go, well, that could be in wherever you want it. You know, maybe you want your iPod in one of the kitchen drawers. Yeah, exactly. Who cares?
No, I said I guess. No, I'm not saying.
Yeah, who cares? Let the player just decide that stuff. Because what's the benefit of saying that doesn't belong there? Put it in the right room. Like, what's the player getting out of that?
I suppose, yeah.
Nothing. If you've put everything in the right place, great. Move on. If you haven't, well, who cares? I don't want to be told by the game, this is in the wrong room, find the right room. Yeah. Especially when they're items that are totally, like, you can't tell what they are. And I wish I could tell you. Well, I'll tell you. Who gives a shit? There are magnets in this that belong on the fridge.
Right.
But one of them is just like a mess of grey blobs. And I think it's supposed to be like one of those 3D magnets you get on holiday or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But I was kind of like, oh, that looks like a little snail ornament. I'll just put that on the shelf. It was like, nope. Put that somewhere else. And I'm going... And it took me ages, and I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to look it up. Oh, it's a magnet. Put it on the fridge. Okay, great, but what have I got out of this experience? Just let me think it's a little ornament that I've put on the side. Who gives a shit? So that stuff really stressed me out.
You want an experience where it wasn't about winning or achieving or score. It's just like, I'm unpacking, that's the zen, that's the satisfying part, and we'll move on.
That's it, right?
I thought, I haven't played this, I thought it was that.
That is what I thought it was as well. I mean, I didn't want to play it because I've recently done this. But
you have put this in the wrong place.
I don't think it's like super specific about where things need to be. I think as long as they're in the right room, pretty much.
Yeah, that's right. But if you take out, but it has an element of, you can take something out of the box and it clearly doesn't belong in that room. So you unlock the box and there's a kettle, but you're in the bedroom. So you go, okay, I've got to put that in the kitchen. But when it's something, say, like an iPod, right? What if you wanted that in the kitchen drawer or in the front room? Yeah. On the windowsill or something, you know. But the game says, no, it's got to be in your bedroom. And it's like, all right, I guess that's what you want.
I mean, I've played the first couple of levels of this when they put out a demo a while ago. I don't know, like I guess I was just lucky to sort of be in tune with what the developers wanted, because nothing really stuck out to me as like, do you know what I mean? I pretty much put everything where it was supposed to go, and there was maybe one or two things at the end that it wanted me to move, so it didn't really bother me. But yeah, I guess if, like you say, if you're in a house where like, well, I leave my iPod in the kitchen, like, do you know what I mean? Like that's not going to gel.
I think I'm always, when I'm looking at something like this, I think this is quite relaxing, but there are certainly bits in it that are not like the individually wrapped underwear. I just kind of think, no, that's not relaxing. This is tedious, right? And then you've got the that element of so the individually wrapped underwear. Okay, fine, I can overlook that and say I can see how some people like to put this all neatly in the drawer, right? I can. That's fine.
Yeah. Neatly folded in the kitchen drawer. That's where that stuff goes.
In the bath.
That's fine. But when it's something that's kind of ambiguous or something that you haven't quite understood is the right item, what's the benefit of the player to go, no, wrong?
Did you see
it kind of made me just go, I don't want to play anymore.
Did you see the stuff about the GameCube?
Yeah, that the majority of the people thought it was a rice cooker.
Yeah, or just something that looks like some sort of toaster or something.
Understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, but again, ultimately, why don't you let those people think it's a rice cooker? What's the problem?
You would think it would at least be an option, wouldn't
because it's a fucking GameCube.
Yeah, I know, but you got to remember this is like really pixelated artwork, so you can see why some people would look at that and go, "What the fuck is that?" You know what I mean? It doesn't have GameCube written on it.
No.
I don't know, man. Like the mouse mat as well. When I first saw that, I was like, "This is a picture, or what is this?" Like, I don't know. So I don't know if I'm going to go back to it.
Like saying about sort of repetitive ones like putting the underwear away. So what I played was on PC, and I was playing this with a mouse. And I feel like that might alleviate some of this. I can't really imagine playing it with a controller.
Yeah, it's not too bad with a controller. You're literally moving a cursor around with the left stick.
Yeah.
So, that sucks compared to a controller. But and I do kind of think actually playing this on Switch maybe where you could just touch things would make it a lot better. But I haven't got that. So, it probably does alleviate it a little bit. To be honest with you,
I've been meaning to give this a go because, from what some people were saying, I was getting the sense that this could have been on the Game of the Year list, but I'm assuming you'd have shot that down.
We'll see, because I'll probably end up playing it more because it sends Charlie to sleep.
Oh, nice.
So that's good.
I was going to say, you might already be aware, but have you noticed the attention to detail in the sound design? So basically, for every object in the game and every surface type in the game, there is a specific sound effect. So you can take your GameCube, you can put it in the bath, you can put it on a wooden shelf, you can put it on the side in the kitchen, and there will be different sound effects for each.
I did not notice that. No.
Have a play around with it. It's nuts.
Okay, that's fine, but just don't tell me that that's got to go in that room, because sometimes it doesn't have to. All right.
So where did the iPod have to go?
It's just in the bedrooms.
Yeah.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's not specific about it has to go in the drawer in the bedroom. It doesn't do that, but it does go, this belongs in this room. And I just kind of think, you don't. I get to decide that. That's the fun of unpacking, isn't it? I get to decide it, not you.
Yeah, but aren't you unpacking for someone else, not for yourself?
No, you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah,
well, technically you're role
character,
playing, aren't you? So
yeah,
I guess you're right.
Playing a character, yeah.
But but my character wants to do the iPod and the... Anyway, that's all I've been playing this week. Let's get to questions.
Let's. If you want to send us a question, go to tcgs.co/deartcgs. Kid Rock, the American badass himself, says, all right, Lids, long-time listener, first-time contact form user. I loved Metroid Dread, but resented every time boss interrupted all that silky smooth exploration. Is it cheating to have and use a skip boss button? I thought this was an interesting development I know obviously last week we had easy mode chat, and I thought this was an interesting development on that, because it's like, well, what if you're not just making the game easier, but you're actually removing part of the game?
Well, that's what they did with, what's it called? What was that? Oh, I've forgotten the name, Sean. What's the name of that game that we played? Axiom Verge 2,
the bosses
that's the
were
one.
Optional, weren't they?
They made them entirely optional, and it's like, it's one of those things where it sounds like a good idea, but I think the game lost something because of that.
Hold on, isn't with Axiom Verge 2, didn't it just like take you to the next bit of the game?
No, they were just sort of like a boss would just be hanging around in an area, and if you didn't want to fight it, you just run past it.
Yeah. Like, but with Metroid Dread, like, how about if they had an option where it was skip boss, but the game just took over and just Like, so you saw
Just
the
saw a
animation,
cool
you saw the boss
cutscene.
get killed or whatever,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So I mean, like
I don't have
in
a problem with that.
like in Mario, where they like Luigi did levels in the was it?
Yeah,
in
yeah, but that was a bit rough because Luigi just went off and fucking did the level. Whereas, like,
Well, this is it, isn't it? Like
here it kind of feels like
you know what I'm like when it comes to easy modes or just concessions to different types of play in general. But I do concede that it is a shame if that completely removes an element of the game for people. But then, even then, it's like, well, if that's just one bit they don't like and it's preventing them from enjoying the rest of it.
So that's why I prefer just tweaking difficulty.
Yeah.
Over that, if you can tweak the difficulty, I think that's better.
No, I think this is a better way to do it because some people don't want to, or they don't want to feel the way a boss battle makes them feel, but they love everything else. I think give people the options. I mean, it's not something I would want to do because I feel like that would probably be a key part of the game and that will improve you as a player, etc. But for some people who don't want that level of stress or worry or I don't know, there's not into that. I think hell yeah, like give them the freedom to do that. It might change the game completely compared to someone who wants to do everything, but lots of people don't.
I think it's different with something like Spider-Man, where it was like, yeah, do you know what? Do you want to skip the puzzles? Because no one came to that game to play puzzles, right? No one.
They're pretty wank as well.
Yeah, like no one's like, oh man, I hope this Spider-Man game's got some Pipe Mania puzzles in it. So
did them all show? Or did them all though, Sean? It was the only way to 100% that fucking shit.
So do you know what I mean? That seems like a much more obvious or sort of permissible removal than like the bosses in Metroid.
I think what we're saying is that the boss battles in Metroid Dread do feel like a essential part of the game, right? Like a big part of the game.
Yeah, they are definitely a bit of a roadblock, but then they always have been. That's always been a series tradition. I don't think anyone would be surprised that a Metroid game has difficult bosses in it. But then,
well, they will if it was their first one.
Well,
right?
yeah,
I didn't know that going in really.
Yeah. But so much of what they do set you up and helps you for the next area you go to. If you got to a boss, you can press a button, skip it, and then you were sent through to the next area.
Yeah,
chances are you may struggle more.
Well, usually, like you get an ability or whatever that you then are learning how to use, and then you're building that up for the boss. Like that's one of the main reasons usually. That
all right, okay, hold on, right. So let's go to the original question: is it cheating? Yes or no?
It's not cheating.
No, it's not cheating.
No,
Matt.
Hell no, of course not.
I'm going to say yes.
Cheating what? Exactly?
Skipping a boss. I'm going to say yes. That's cheating.
Outvoted, mate.
Next question.
Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS cookie clickers, imagine these were different times and the TCGS higher-ups, i.e. Adam Capone and Graham, were to organise a company fun run. Which video game character's shoes would you wear for the occasion and how much arch support do you think they would offer? Keep up the tremendous work. Sincerely, Maria.
Well, I'll tell you what, the obvious answer is Sonic, but I'll tell you why I wouldn't wear that. The pressure.
The pressure?
Imagine lining up for a fun run and everyone looking at you just going,
he's got fucking Sonic
look at
shoes.
that twat, he's got Sonic.
If
he doesn't win in Sonic's shoes, what a knob.
Yeah, he's got to go fast.
I'll tell you what I wouldn't want is Mario's. Have you seen those ones from, like,
they're clobbers, aren't they, mate?
In Animal Crossing, you can get like the costume. You look at them, they're huge.
Yeah, man.
They're like massive, like
the big fucking work
shoes.
Like, he's a plumber, like obviously, but yeah, not good for running.
What was that game?
Who's got good shoes? That's the question.
Who has good shoes?
Ethan Winters from Resi 7, Resi Village.
Do you know who comes to mind for me? What was the game? The old game, the Pocket Brothers or Magic Pocket Brothers?
Super
what
Brothers.
Was that?
Sword and Sorcery.
Sword and Sanctuary?
No, not Sword and Sorcery. We're talking older. We're talking Amiga. The Pocket Brothers. The front cover was them with their hands in their pockets and backward caps.
Crisscross?
The studio was called the same thing. Not Crisscross.
Crisscross make my video?
No. The Magic Pocket Brothers. Right. So it's a side-scrolling sort of platformer, but you could throw tornadoes out of your pockets.
What?
Oh my god!
Is this Mick and Mac Global Gladiators?
No, it's not Mick and Mac Global Gladiators. This is the Bitmap Brothers, is that it?
Oh, Mick, Joe and Mac, Caveman Ninjas.
John and Steve Pickford.
Bitmap Brothers. Hold on. It was a Bitmap Brothers game.
I thought you were thinking okay.
I thought you were talking about Joe and Mac, Caveman Ninjas.
No, that is not that. You guys carry on talking because I remember them having amazing trainers and I wanted them.
So the main guy, we never see a detailed shot of his trainers, I don't think. But the guy from Flashback, Conrad Hart, is wearing...
There we go. Magic Pockets. Magic Pockets.
Magic Pockets. Fuck, man.
Google Magic Pockets and look at those trainers.
I will.
I'm telling you, look at the front cover, look at those trainers.
Magic Pockets.
Tell me they're not going to be the best for a front run.
Oh, yeah, fair dues. Proper 80s, chunky...
Man, Dave, do you model your style on this guy?
It is pretty much me, isn't it? Yeah. Although I can't wear hats because of my weird shaped head.
Mm.
That's my problem.
The other stuff's spot
but I
on,
would not want to run in them. They are not running shoes.
Magic Pockets, man. I might play... Oh, I need to play that. I loved that when I was a kid.
This is what Microsoft needs to buy Konami so we can have a Magic Pockets game out.
Bring it back. It's classic.
Bring it back, damn it. Fucking hell, Magic Pockets, yeah. And they weren't brothers. I had the image in my head that they were brothers, but it was just called the Bitmap Brothers because it was
most
made by the
characters
Bitmap
were
Brothers.
brothers back then, weren't they? Standard.
Yep.
Most brothers aren't brothers, actually. That's just...
Don't know what that means, but tornadoes out your pocket, mate.
Conrad Hart from Flashback they're just like some white sneakers, but do you know what? He does a lot of running and jumping around in like a forest and like a dirty futuristic city and a whole bunch of shit. So I reckon they're some fucking durable, comfy fuckers. So I'd wear those.
Good answer.
Anyone else?
I mean, inspired by that, I've got nothing.
Brilliant.
Cool. Yeah.
So not inspired by that at all.
No.
Yeah.
You were not inspired by
zero
anything.
inspiration to be had there, apparently.
Yeah.
Matt?
I'm going to... who has...
Go on, quickly Google.
Yeah,
go on.
who can I... Lara Croft.
Right, so just some boots.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
I'm
what
sure
did she wear?
It's like big walking boots.
Lots of support,
like hiking boots.
So probably terrible for running.
What did Balan from Balan's Wonderworld wear?
No, wasn't he floating?
The big question.
Like wingtips or something.
Lara Croft boots. Yeah. No, I think Magic Pockets, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you win on that one.
What about Knuckles' shoes with the big like metal clasp on them? Look good in them.
Terrible for running.
No.
Jeremy Beadle.
Ash.
Next.
Jeremy Beadle, not that one. Obviously, he's dead. It says, all right, lads, hypothetical situation here that I hope you'd be kind enough to indulge in. Let's say you do fire a small Bluetooth speaker that pumps out the Farley's Fantasy Zone jingle into space, and it somehow survives leaving Earth's atmosphere. Aliens find it, and they love it so much that they decide to land on Earth in hoping of meeting the maker of their beloved tune. With the ability to pick up any language instantly and traverse the universe at the speed of light, they turn up outside James's German manor in the dead of night with excited grins on their little alien faces. What's the first thing James says to them, and how does he react? Appreciate you all.
You want me to answer?
Yes.
No, James. You want what the fuck?
No. I didn't know if this was asking. What do you think I should say, or what would I say? Okay. Well, either way, I would say, "What are you doing here?"
Wow. Okay.
Could you imagine that? James walking out into his garden and just going, "In the beginning."
I was hoping for
yeah.
I was hoping for a Star Trek reference, to be honest.
That's true.
Never mind.
Shoot
James,
to kill.
what would your Star Trek reference be?
Shoot to kill.
Well, no,
that's
don't
not
say
welcoming,
that
is
to
it?
them. Shoot to kill. Shoot to
I just
kill.
arrived here from another galaxy, and you're like, shoot to kill.
Yeah.
Shoot to kill.
They're like, Farley's Fantasy Zone.
Weird.
Shoot to kill.
James,
Farley's
we finally
shoot
met
to kill.
you. Chavez, shoot to kill. To be fair, that is what he says when he meets our listeners.
That's true.
At EGX.
Panicking. Gets one of his vintage pistols out.
Are you James Farley? Shoot to kill. Shoot to kill. Okay, right. That's enough for the questions. Let's do socials, Matt.
Yes, so this Thursday, Sean is carrying on with his Nuzlocke, Stock and 2 Sloking Barbarackles stream Thursday night at 9. That was a great success, wasn't it? Last week, Sean?
It went really well, apart from I killed a Rattata that I could have captured. So my team is one short of what it could be. But other than that, it's been going really well.
Hakuna Matata, Sean.
Yeah. It's a wonderful phrase.
If you missed it live, you can watch it on YouTube, by the way. But also Friday nights from 9, Dark Souls 2 with James. They're both on twitch.tv/TCGSco. If you have Amazon Prime, your Twitch Prime Gaming, you get 1 free sub. And we really appreciated over the last week or so you coming back and give us your subs. They don't auto-renew. You don't get notified either. So if you have Amazon Prime connected with your Twitch account, please go over to our channel and give us your free sub. We really appreciate it.
I'm going to do a chill stream this week.
Yeah.
I'm either going to do a Forza Horizon part try and fill the map in, part do an eliminator.
Did you finish that game?
What do you mean?
Did you get to the end of the campaign? We get to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about driving down every road.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
I want to do that. And because that's kind of a tradition in how I play those games. When I'm getting towards the end of my time with it, I fill the map in, which is just ridiculous, really, in this one because there's about 700 roads or something stupid. And I've been getting into Eliminator. I've been playing that a lot this week, so I might do one of those on stream because I bet a lot of people played Forza but never actually did one of those Eliminators. They're really good fun. Or I might do some Tetris Effects because I've been playing that a lot on the Switch as well. And that mystery mode is fucking fantastic. I love it.
What's that?
Well, you've got to you've got to clear 150 lines, but it just throws random modifiers at you. Like sometimes the screen just goes upside down, or sometimes the Tetris shapes go, or you can't hold a Tetris, or you can't see what's coming up next. That sort of stuff is great. Little bombs turn up and you've got to defuse them. Have you not seen it?
No, I've missed this somehow.
Oh man, watch it. I might do that then this week because I love that. It's really good fun. You never know what's going to happen. It's really good. We'll see, but I'll try and do a stream this week because I really enjoyed my Lake one, even though I fucking hated that game.
Oh yeah, you never mentioned that. So back on Dark Souls, it's episode 28 this week. New Londo Ruins. This week, James heads into New Londo Ruins in search of the 4 kings. Ooh,
we go to the start of the third act, James, isn't it?
I don't remember any of that. I should listen back to these.
What, you don't remember the third act? The 4 kings and the what was the you had the what was the. Obviously, you had Ceaseless Discharge, but that was a minor boss. It was what was the Chaos? Something Bed of Chaos.
Oh, it's a shit boss.
Oh, God. Awful part of that game. In fact, that whole third act is so underbaked. It's unbelievable.
Well, listen to that on Fridays. Patreon.com/TCGS is our patron for exclusive podcasts and talks overs. We do one on the weekend, and our monthly podcast is out already as well. I've also we've got an Epic Game Store creator code.
What have we?
So basically, if you are playing Fortnite or Rocket League or I don't know what other games I have on the Epic Game Store, but when you purchase, you can put a code in. If you put in TCGS, I think we might get a kickback. So if you're buying 1,000 V-Bucks or Rocket League Pass or whatever it is, you can do that if you fancy it. We really appreciate it.
Do we get anything if I'm claiming free games?
I looked into it earlier. I doubt it, but who knows?
I'll try anyway.
People downloading free games, put it in there, why not? And tcgs.co is the website for everything else, like links to our social channels, all our podcast episodes, a link to our Discord, and everything else we do. And our store, of course.
I ain't gonna lie, we're one this week, but we'll be back next week. We thank you so much for living it. We'll catch you then. Have a nice week. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.